Hello and welcome to the very 36th episode of your favorite StatCheck podcast host's favorite StatCheck podcast. It's time for Take All Comers. Episode 36, Stat Checking It Twice, Slaaneshmas 2025. Today we've got a very exciting episode for you all covering a variety of topics you're going to look forward to, coming from your hosts, myself, Tyler Bortel, along with...
It's your boy, Lukas Troller. And?
Nicholas Olsen-Johnson.
He's back and he's not going anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be covering a good old-fashioned major, a major that we have covered on this show before and will maybe cover again, probably. We'll see what happens. It is Slaaneshmas 2025, one of the premier events of the Pacific Northwest, certainly one of the largest and longest running. It took place not yesterday, not the day before that either, but some number of days in the past in Ocean Shores, Washington, and we're here to break it all down for you. I myself was not in attendance, unfortunately, as I don't live in Washington anymore. Never did, actually, but that's another story. But these two gentlemen were there, along with some other wonderful people. We're going to hear about the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs, and the terrain. But before we get into any of that, I got to check in with the boys. How are we doing today, Lucas?
Man, I'm doing all right. Yeah, it was definitely a fun event at Slaaneshmas. Excited to recap it with you guys. I took EC to the event. I'm on a bit of a chaos pilgrimage, playing a lot of different chaos factions lately. Just a bit fed up with Orcs being the Warhorde show and the Warhorde show only, at least in terms of singles. So stretching my wings and playing some new stuff has been really fun, and also means that I'm doing a lot of different hobby right now. I'm just got like 3 or 4 different armies that have like ongoing projects, and it's really keeping my hobby gears flowing to move from an Orc to a Night Lord to a Death Guard to World Leaders, and it's like it always feels fresh and fun, which is a great place to be. I am always in a good headspace when I'm getting hobby stuff done. So yeah, doing well overall. Getting ready for the holidays here. It actually has been like a remarkably warm week in Portland. It's like record-breaking highs today. It was like in the 60s randomly. It was really nice and sunny out. So yeah, pretty chill overall. Excited for Christmas to get here. How about you, Nick?
I'm doing pretty good. Kind of like Lucas. Looking forward to holidays. Got a little break coming up here. But had a ton of fun at Slaaneshmas. Excited to chat about it. For me, kind of outside of Slaaneshmas, looking forward, I'm also very excited because now we've gotten the, I guess, patch, right? The slate that we're going to be playing our big team event coming up on. That team event is West Coast WARBANDS, which I believe is the first weekend of February. I guess it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But it's kind of one of those, like, you're sitting there thinking for a long time, like, what theoretically could I play? But now that we have the rule set we're going to play with, it's like been just a stream of like, here's the theoretical possible team comps or armies that I could test. And it's just kind of, you know, a new exciting next few like months coming up ahead in Warhammer. So how about you, Tyler? How are you doing?
I am doing excellently. Thank you very much. I will say, if you are interested in attending West Coast Warbands, and you damn well should be, you and your 7 best friends can click on the link in the description. I think it's already there, if I did it right this time. Someone can confirm that. If it's not, it will be by the time that you're listening to this in the future. Check it out. There are plenty of more slots that's available. This is slotted to be a very, very large 8-man teams event. We have room for some 30 teams. It's an incredible number. So if you're anywhere on the planet with access to an airplane, I would highly recommend taking it to Portland, Oregon for that weekend. It's going to be a ball and a biscuit. You won't want to miss it. As for myself, this past week has been a lot of fun. I've been doing a lot of extraneous hobby things. I've been learning how to use my local library's laser cutter, which has been a ton of fun. So I've been cranking out a bunch of fun projects like that. I don't know if I will have the high five coins exactly, but if you come up to me at events in the future, I probably will have more or take all comers related swag to hand out to people. So that's always a lot of fun. I've been really enjoying Warhammer exactly as it has been previously. I'm really dialed in on the sconce list. It's a lot of fun. We did get a slate, and I'm sure we'll kick around about that for a little bit here. As a Hivemind player, this was definitely not the most exciting slate of all time. GSC went entirely untouched, despite kind of fallen off the map after they kicked Hosts of Ascension in the dick. Was kind of hoping for something to make Final Day a little bit more fun, or make Xenocrete a little more interesting. It could have been cool. But they decided to do nothing, which, I mean, fair enough. The army has been good for a while. I understand wanting to keep it on the cooldown for a minute. Nids-wise, we got a small reduction to Screamer Killers to make them the exact same price as Haruspexes, which, I mean, I thought of them as being the same price in the first place. I appreciate that I no longer have to do the mental gymnastics of finding the or losing the 10 points whenever that happens. So cool. More excitingly, Carnifexes came down 25, which is a lot. 90 points is just like a fundamentally different unit than it was previously, right? That's like a very different kind of thing. So I'm really interested to be experimenting with them a little bit. I got mine out. We got them all dusted off. I'll probably play a little bit with the old one-eye brick and invasion because it's fun. I think most likely though, the real use of Carnifexes now is that they're like, I think I saw someone describe it. They're a JPI squad now. Like that is an early game skirmisher, which just happens to be T9 with a 2-up save.
Distraction Carnifex really changed.
It really is.
What's his like? How fast is it? And is OC3? I'm guessing
it moves 8. It's OC3. It's T9 with a 2-up save and 8 wounds.
Okay.
Like, so it can touch your objective with a 1-inch advance on any map. It can touch the center on search and destroy, just walking. It cannot walk in an area. It can advance in an area denial on a 1. So like that's kind of neat. And then you're like, hey, here's my dude. And like, in the past, here's a lictor. You have to deal with this is a way to get the party started. And sure enough, the lictor presents a specific set of threats. But the lictor's downsides are it's OC1 and it dies to like a small amount of shooting most of the time. Carnifex doesn't do either of those things. And it's only 30 points more than that. So like, if you're playing against someone who doesn't have like a Gladiator Lancer kind of really easy long range anti-tank firepower, you might draw out some serious reprisal from your opponents, and that could be kind of cool. And again, he's OC3, so like if they come in, like if they go in at the Lictor and they don't kill the Lictor, but the Lictor doesn't kill them either, whatever. If you go in at the Carnifex and you don't kill the Carnifex and the Carnifex doesn't kill you, the Carnifex might still hold the objective. So I think it'll be really interesting. Loadouts are also a ton of fun.
That's what I was going to ask next. Is it like, do you run melee weapons on this guy?
Yeah, I think the default is going to be double Scything Talons, because with double Scything Talons, you get, 8 attacks? I think 6 and 2. Yeah, you get 8 attacks at 9-2-3. They are weapon skill, ballistic skill 4, to be clear, which is mega cringe, but still 90 points.
This is like
eight attacks at 9-2-3 sustained in invasion. So like, this
is like a
maybe it does
Beast of Nurgle.
Yeah, right. Like it's a Beast of Nurgles. Exactly. That's a very apt comparison.
The thing,
it just has the opposite kind of durability.
Their data sheet ability is Blood Surge too, right?
It's Blood Surge, yeah. So you cannot come in and try to chip and then also charge. You gotta play to win. The other option that I think is kind of cool, because the other thing you can do with them is just kind of have them roaming around in and amongst your stuff as an OC3 kind of brick that is some decent counter charge. If you want to go that route, I think that heavy venom cannon and crushing claws is kind of cool, because those venom cannons, like at 36-inch range, D3 blast at 9-2-3, like no one wants to deal with that. Like you don't want to shoot this thing from across the board, but it's a really nice piece of chip damage while standing on a point that you're holding pretty securely. And then in the melee with the 4 attacks with the crushing claws, like he's like everybody else. And I said 9-2-3. I meant 10-2-3 because synapse. The crushing claws are 4 attacks at 13-3 D6 plus 1.
So what are you losing from the talons? Like, what are the talons giving you over that?
Twice as many attacks.
Oh, okay.
The talons are well. So sorry. The talons are 6 attacks. If you take double talons, you go up to 8 attacks.
Okay.
So between the talons and the claws, it's between a single set of talons or a single set of claws. It's 2 attacks versus 3 points of strength, a point of AP, and 3 damage versus D6 plus 1.
Okay.
That being said, with sustained, the extra attacks is like real value. So I think that's
Yeah,
also
kind
kind
of
of
like
a funny
these claw
thing,
guys, dude.
right? Like the
The claw
claws,
guys
like,
sound cool.
strength 13 is a hell of a drug. They're hitting on 4s, and they're only sustained against infantry. They'll never be sustained against monsters and vehicles. But like, man, does that feel awkward to jam something durable in the middle against Swarm? If I'm like, well, here's a 90-point Carnifex. I hope you have a good save and don't roll poorly. Like,
I love that Snake Farm and honestly Crusher Stampede now are just like drowning in way too cheap monsters that don't fucking do anything.
If Crusher Stampede is super valid it's so funny with these guys as solos because then they're OC 5 and you're like,
true.
oh, I don't want to deal with that.
As soon as you win them, they're hitting on 3s.
They're hitting on 3s and they're blood surging.
True.
Yo.
So it's like, don't chip me, dude.
New build just dropped.
It's interesting.
He's gonna surge.
Is that they're rule of 3 locked? Because of course they are. I want to take like 6 of them or 8 of them as solos in Crusher. That would be
make
awesome.
them battle line
too.
What we need to do is make them battle line would be cool. Or we need to go back to having Thornbacks as separate data sheets because Screamer Killers are their own thing now. But go back to the multiple Carnifex bullshit. But yeah. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
this is not a thing that we should do. I do not advocate this. I just want to be able to take 6 solo Carnifexes. Or give them combat squads. Let me take them in 2s and then let them split up at the start of the game. That'd be fun. Anyway, give me whatever the case. So they're interesting. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. And I mean, I give GW massive props because this is like a totally interesting new thing that they did with one stroke of a pen on one data sheet that they can immediately revert if they want to later. They did this as well with when the Psychophage dropped it, or well, got rewritten entirely because they upped its points and increased its rules. I think this is a great change. If you're going to change one thing, this is a really cool thing to pick. So I'm excited. It'll be kind of fun. But I mean, relative to other slates from a Hivemind perspective, cool, dude. And then like after Hivemind, the AdMech is more expensive in ways that I think we all kind of predicted. I don't think any of the AdMech changes are wrong. I think they're probably about right. They're definitely on the lenient side, but also AdMech is not the big bad right now. So I'm not too freaked out about it. We'll kind of see what happens. But I think I might actually play some AdMech now that I feel like they're a little bit more reasonable. And then my next army down is Necrons. Necrons got no changes, so it's still the same. That one guy, I will be at Palm Springs. I'll see you there. It'll be awesome. Not these guys though. They're going to a different event. Fair enough. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with the slate. Just focusing on stuff that's like going on with us. We can yell about things they did wrong later. Lukas, how you feeling post slate? What's cooking for you?
Dude, I there's obviously a couple things that are missing from the slate in terms of balance fixes, but I think they did a lot of armies correctly. I think Sisters and AdMech are two. There's a lot of negative talk about the slate, so I'll start off on a positive note. I think they did Sisters and AdMech pretty much right. In my mind, AdMech losing 150 to 200 plus points off the optimal build was like, yeah, that feels about right. Like, I don't think anything they were doing was unhinged. I don't think that any of the data sheets. I love the 2 wound infantry. I think sterilizers and sky stalkers and infiltrators and rust stalkers are the coolest things in AdMech. If you could run a list with 90 of all those and that was the whole list, I think it would be super pog. So I love that they're still good, but they were just too cheap. So I think the new points costs actively reflect how good they are. So I think that's a great place to start. And then Sisters also just had a little bit too much stuff, just taking a little bit off the top. I forget who was talking about this, but I think they also targeted the right things. Like, there was the Hospitaller plus the Sacrosants, and like they both went up a little bit, but then there's also Morven Ball and the Paragons. Well, you don't take Paragons without Morven Ball, so let's just bump up the points on Morven. She's included in every list. You never see solo Paragons. Let's not increase them. It's like a very thoughtful change. Some other changes were not so thoughtful. Ultrabrains, fuck you. But overall, those two armies, I think, are going to be in a good spot now. I think they're definitely still viable. I think they're definitely still strong. I think they're now in line with some other stuff that's in like the A and B sweet spot. Yeah, doing great. I love the Gravis detachments. So excited to see a new version of Night Lords. Is it competitively viable? Probably not. If you love Night Lords, is it a cool way to play the army? Definitely. So look forward to stat reps with that coming out soon, hopefully. And yeah. But it was funny because just before the slate came out, I was talking about how cool it would be if a jump pack lord could lead. Because I'm working on this 8th and Sean converted into a Night Lord hobby project. And before the slate, I was waxing poetic about how cool it would be if he could lead a squad of Warp Talons. And this was like 4 days before the attachment came out. Yes! And he scouts 6-2. Let's go! So that's such a hype unit. And yeah, the Court of Phoenician, also really cool. Like the other detachment, it's an EC. It's just really, really hard to compete with real ones hit and wound that you get from Coterie. That's just like such an incredible detachment role. So it's not going to be as good probably, but it does help you solve one of the problems of EC being high toughness things and more importantly, high armor save things that have access to AOC. Really stacking up the AP and like leaning into the like duelist, I find the weak spot in your armor and exploit it part of the EC part is pretty cool. So yeah. Pretty excited with both those attachments for the armies that I play, and happy with the new rules that are coming out. How are you guys feeling about the slate?
I'm curious what you would have liked to see with Ultramarines. I'm guessing that you're mostly just talking about you don't think the Victrix point changes were enough.
Okay. Victrix point changes weren't enough. That is definitely true. The other thing that I think is just dumb is the number of characters that they got. Like, why is the Primarch of the Ultramarines and his Chapter Master and 2 company captains on every single fucking battlefield? You need to limit the number of epic heroes that these guys are taking. 3+ in every single list is just way, way, way too many. And it leads into all sorts of abuses. Like, I thought, we'll get into this when we go into Slaaneshmas, but I thought that playing into Blade of Ultramar would be so much more easy for a melee army than Gladius because they don't have fight on death. I'm like, surely this is like leagues better for me than Gladius is. No, they can just win any melee game, 0 thought invested because they have +1 CP and they have a Vectora. Like, melee matchups are all about CP, and they can just turn their brain off and jam their models forward. And even if you like pull sick plays on them and they're just like drooling all over the midfield objectives, it doesn't matter because they have 15 CP a game and you have 5 functionally because everything that you're going to do costs +1. It's just dumb. It's super, super dumb. So either Uriel or Calgar needs to go. Like, there needs to be some rule. I don't care what it is. There needs to be some rule in place to separate Uriel and Calgar. Both of those in the same, especially deep striking him in, but that's another whole problem. You can't have both effect and a +1 CP in the same game. That is toxic and stupid. So that's like the rules thing that I don't like. Other than, yeah, obviously Victrix didn't go up enough points, but if you're gonna have 4 epic heroes, they can't all auto win you melee matchups.
This post
you already have a reactive
Swarmlord Haters of America.
Huh?
This post brought to you by Swarmlord Haters of America.
Yeah, well, luckily tier nerds are bad, so that's okay. When the poster boys have everything, that's when it gets to be too much, man.
Yeah, this is certainly one of these, like, man. The unit came out near the tail end of them obviously bouncing, right? Because like a lot of the big nerfs were to like the Templar units that we saw and a Shadow Mark, and then they just kind of like tacked on like a 20-point increase at the very end. So it's one of those where it's like it'll probably continue to be a problem, as we'll talk about, and it'll probably get nerfed come, you know, whatever next slate is. But yeah, I'd like to see something kind of like the Morven Vol thing, where it's like, hey, these 2 guys are always taken together. Let's bump up the points on Uriel, maybe, so we don't make Victrix completely unplayable. Like, maybe we make it like, sure, a little more points, and like you can take a captain. But if you really want to take Uriel and Marnius, you're paying like super premium prices for that.
Yes,
I don't know.
I think that the make, like, they saw that the banner was too good, so they made that thing Epic Hero. Why is the unit not just an Epic Hero?
Yes.
Why do we need 3 of them?
These are supposed to be the 6 Ultramarines that guard the Primarch. Why are there 20 of them on every single battlefield? They should just be an Epic Hero unit.
Yeah,
And then you can
I
take
would
the one
not
of them
mind
with
if
your
they were
one
as
cool
ridiculous as they are, if it was just the one unit.
Yes.
Also, double Marnius, fucking dumb as hell.
Yes.
What are we doing? You made a new model, so it replaces the old one. This is like Warhammer 101.
Yeah.
Old Kato, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
The point of that guy getting a new model was was supposed to replace the old 30-year-old one. Why does the old one still have rules, dude? It makes me so upset. So yeah, Ultramarines was definitely a big whiff. And yeah, it's gonna be a meta. It's gonna be meta dominant for the next 3 months. I don't think that's too crazy to say. Can you build to counter them? Yeah, I mean, like, you know, people are already finding ways to kill those models, and they're pretty elite armies at the end of the day. So there's definitely counterplay, but it's just dumb, man.
Entirely valid, actually. Why can Marines still bring old Sicarius, but I can't still bring 3 stealth suits? Yeah.
Yeah. On a more positive note, before we head into the event review here, the change I'm most excited about as a new Demons player is the Demons buffs. Kind of just came out of nowhere. There was a completely reasonable nerf to the Fort Feel No Pain Guo. There are many moments over the weekend where I was playing that guy. I'm like, why does this model exist? Why is this allowed to happen? And then they nerfed it. And I'm like, well, that was very strange thing to do when this has been around in the game for like 2 years, but completely reasonable. And then in exchange, they were like, hey, we're going to make your birds do flat 3 and flat 2 damage, which is crazy high damage output increase. I was like, this is nutso. Because I was playing, you know, the 1 bird at D3 damage. But after like getting shot by a Rogaldor, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe a bunch of flat 3 damage is completely fine on my 285 point monster. So, yeah. I mean, obviously that's been a very exciting change, as we've seen that combined with the T-Sons Demons attachment, letting T-Sons Demons actually benefit from the army rules, means now people are like testing that quite a bit. And then Scintillating Legion, which before was like a pretty big meme, is now all of a sudden being seen as like a pretty, you know, playable army. Before, I mean, even before this buff, people were playing like 4 birds and kind of getting away with some very interesting games. And now all of a sudden the damage has gotten much more reliable. So I think you're going to be seeing a lot of Lord of changes on boards in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm very excited to see that that play out. I'm a little concerned that indirect seems really good. That's never a great thing, but it's a cool and different army, so I'm excited about that at least.
You talking about the puppeteer thing?
The puppeteer thing and Kairos, like,
yeah, true, yeah.
It's especially in teams formats where you can take both T-Sons and Tzeentch Demons.
Dude, the year is what, 2023. I'm getting shelled by T-Sons indirectly. You know, the year is 2025. I'm getting shelled by T-Sons indirectly.
Yeah, exactly. It's just happening on 2 of the 8 tables now.
Yeah,
we'll see. There's a lot of talk about potential changes to WTC team format with the way that all the codices are being written, not necessarily, you know, being the way that they were when the rules were written. So we'll see.
The fact that you can play like Noise Marines and EC and CSM.
Yes, especially named characters. Like,
yeah, and you can play Demons and CSM and, like, you know, Demons in your, you know, Cult Marines, and yeah.
So
it definitely is super dumb that you can take 36 Noise Marines on a roster.
36 Noise Marines and 2 Rodigus and 2 Kairos. Have fun.
6 Lord of Changes if you wanted.
Yeah.
Maybe Tzeentch should just be bad permanently. Thoughts?
No, I love Tzeentch. Super cool.
Tzeentch is funny, dude.
Most toxic god. I'm sorry.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Absolutely no Chaos God is more unpleasant than when Slaanesh is too good. Hard hate that.
Okay.
Legion of Excess was the most toxic thing to come out for Demons this edition by far. Probably for Chaos in total. In 10th.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Damn, yeah. Good stats running at you is so much more unpleasant than 3 damage indirect bypassing the indirect nerf. You're right.
Yeah, it has a really interesting spotting mechanic that you can play around and also cost them. Anyway, we can argue about this once I've gotten my ass beat by it a couple times, and
I think the Puppeteer
maybe I'll
is
hate it
cool.
more then.
It breaks your brain a bit playing against it, but it is very cool.
Whatever the case, I was surprised you said the demon buffs were your favorite. I thought as a demons player, the Eldar changes would be your favorite.
I just honestly kind of ignored that. Yeah. That was an army that if you paired, you were like, GG, I guess, man. Like, I don't know. See if you can beat me. Yeah, those changes. I mean, I think the community as a whole is very happy about that, right? That Giga Uninteractive Eldar build has been going around for a while. And I already see like a ton of other Eldar beats people are trying. So like that tells me the army's not dead. They just took this build that like was like literally uninteractive and they said, hey, stop doing that. Go play the game.
Yep.
And I think that's very healthy for the game.
Yeah.
Like there are only 3 armies I really heard people complaining about. I guess 4, right? Because the Victrix kind of snuck in at the end. And I think 3 out of 4 of those, Admech, Eldar, and Sisters, got like tapped in a good way that they're not unplayable, but they basically made them a bit less toxic and a bit less powerful.
Yep.
So I think from that perspective, it's a success. It'll be interesting to see if they end up doing like an emergency nerf to Victrix or if they just let it ride till the next slate. So, because yeah, we'll talk about that. That army is silly.
Indeed. All right. Well, shall we get into the main event for tonight?
Yeah, let's talk about Slaaneshmas.
Hell yeah, dude. Alrighty. Well, we're looking at Merry Slaaneshmas 2025. Took place in December 6th and 7th in Ocean Shores, Washington. I don't know. They've been doing this for a while. I don't know which number this is. Details here. We've got an 86-person 6-round event with a top cut in the finals. This is a shout out to Bird. This was a great idea. This happens every year because Ocean Shores is out in the middle of nowhere. Your commute out Sunday night is going to be long, and the weather this time of year is often questionable. By the time we get to round 6, half the people just drop because they do not want to potentially brave a storm and whatnot in the dark on their way back for a weekend of Warhammer. They would rather just play 5 rounds and call it. So Bird said, hey, we're just not going to have a 6th round. We'll have a 1-round top cut, basically, and let those guys duke it out so we can have, I don't know, with 5, 2, 4, 8, 16, 13, 64. So still not quite I don't know if we had a true undefeated. It's not mathematically guaranteed at 86 people, but it feels a lot better with 6 rounds than it would with 5. Yeah, I think that's a really good compromise on that. Was that the vibe that y'all got being there?
Yeah, that was definitely one of the things that was cheered on.
Everyone was very happy about it because, like you said, I mean, 90% of the people leave before the 6th round, anyways. The only people that really care for the 6th round are the people trying to like play for some trophy or play for the win. Yeah.
The terrain at this event was a little bit unorthodox in that instead of what I think is kind of the standard these days, which is 1 round, 1 mission, 1 terrain, while everyone was playing the same missions, the layouts were simply spread around the room, layouts 1, 6, and 8. And they were spread like alternatingly, was my understanding right? It's not like all the top tables were playing 1, the mid table 6, and the lower tables 8. Just like every third table is one or the other.
I think it was literally every 3 tables. Yeah.
Perfect. So you are liable to play any round, any mission on 1, 6, or 8. The missions have in theory been chosen with those 3 tables in mind. But you could play on layout 1 all 5 or 6 rounds. You could play on layout 8 all 5 or 6 rounds, or you could play on a nice mix. It's entirely up to the randomness of the dice. This, of course, is very easy to not have to be changing layouts all the time, but also forces people to not prepare, I guess, which is Bird's favorite thing.
He's fascinated with that, dude. He really doesn't want you to be prepared.
Yeah, but it certainly happens at the expense of the same aim. Well, yeah. It's not ideal. Playing some GW missions. I think these are all out of the tournament companion. No Bird customs, and this is done with random pairings within. Okay, so it's within win brackets, not win path, just number of wins, and then battle point placings, not win path placings either, which. Always a contentious issue that we're not going to go into. This will make some people happy and some people upset. Whereas I think the terrain thing is just kind of a universal. Not a fan, but
I'm going to be honest, kind of talking about the terrain thing. I kind of liked it, but I could understand. I mean, would I prefer the like everyone is playing on the same table every mission? Absolutely. But from like a logistical standpoint of like this is easiest for me to run the event in a timely and smooth manner, I think this was like a completely fine thing to do. I was talking with him about it, and I was like, you just got to make sure if you're doing something like this, it's got to be like balanced. Because I think originally he said he was going to do like 1, 4, and 6. And I'm like, you can't have like 2 giga shooting layouts on there, man. Like, and I think that was like all of our feedback. And I think he was a little more willing to like let people know ahead of time, like when they're writing their lists, these are the 3 layouts or 4 layouts you could hit. I'm not going to tell you the missions, but I'll tell you the terrain, because you don't know exactly what round you're going to hit it. So it's like we're getting somewhere with how he wants to run events. So I think like the compromise in his head, I think this is better than like the past 2 have been. I don't know. I haven't been to the past 2 Slaaneshmases, but from what I've heard, like you guys seemed a little bit more down on how it was ran. So
I think in 2025, when there are only 8 layouts that most people have been playing on for a year and a half or whatever at this point, like people can set up their own terrain. Yeah, it's not that hard.
It doesn't have to be a lunchtime or between round thing. It's fine to just show up to your table. It's set up as layout 6. Oh, this round as per. Oh God, am I still here?
Yep.
Computer randomly shuts down. Oh, this round's now layout 8. Set it up. I can set up layout 8 in a minute and a half. Like,
yeah, I get that you guys can. Not everyone coming to these events is going to want to do that, though. Like, there are a lot of people that don't want to set up their own terrain. So, Bird is trying to cater towards, like, the wider audience. And I think this is a okay solution to that. So.
My bigger concern with this is that if you're not setting up your terrain, you're probably not checking your terrain. And then suddenly it's like turn 4 and you're like, ah, shit, that ruins backwards. Ah, shit, we played the whole game and there was a fire lane that there shouldn't have been. Like, that's more upsetting to me than making.
Yeah, I mean, at John's events, we tried setting up tables and he didn't like that. He was like, it's not a premium experience, so I'm going to set up tables for people now. And like, you kind of run to that same issue there, right? Like, even at John's events where it's the same layout each round, right? Like, he's setting up the tables. So
why is John able to swap the layouts between rounds but Bird can't?
I mean, Bird can.
There we go.
So I'm just saying, I think it's one of those, like, I don't know behind the decision behind it. I think it's just maybe a little more difficult too, especially with like a event of this size. So
I think as a community, we definitely made our voices heard that layouts 1, 4, and 6 were going to be absolute dog shit, and he changed his mind. Whether or not he wants to admit it is because of our pressure, that's basically what happened. I think we should make our voices heard that this way of doing tables is dumb because it means you or your buddy or the person who may have ended up in first place could lose a round because they're playing Death Watch and they randomly ended up on layout 8. Stupid.
I mean, isn't that like the same thing? I mean, I'm not saying this is better than it, right? But like, isn't that the same thing if you like layout 8 is in like round 5 or something like that, or round 4?
Well, then you know when it is and what mission you're going to play it on, and if it's going to be the first game you're going to play or the last game you're going to play. Having it be random is dumb. People, we remember when everyone was in the Discord and we're like, "Hey, what layout did you guys play on?" There was one guy who was like 88881. Hope that guy wasn't playing Death Watch. Jesus Christ, man. Want to talk about premium tournament experiences. Imagine paying $100 to drive you to Ocean Shores, playing Death Watch, and then you get 88886, and you have no control over that. This is a bad way of doing it. I'm sorry. There has to be a better way. All right, let's start talking about our games.
Let's do it. Event review section. How was the tournament experience not talking about the terrain?
Good. I like the convention center there. For being out in the middle of nowhere, it's like a pretty clean space. There's a lot of room. Tables are a little low, but like, kind
of the industry standard, unfortunately, these days.
Yeah. But yeah, pretty nice. There's like the table's having like extra room on the sides, and then it's like the table's longer than the 4x6 that you play on, or however big it is. And then there's also room around your table, so like it's not at all crowded, which is really lovely. And yeah, anything else to add, Nick?
I haven't been to like the past 2 Slaaneshmases. The last one I went to was 22, I think. So the big change from that time was there's like this snack refreshment table.
Oh yeah,
that was available free of charge. I remember I found out about that day 2, and that was pretty sweet. There's like protein bar. I mean, there's various snacks. You can have like very sugary snacks if you want, but there's also like much healthier snacks, like, you know, protein bars and fruits and that sort of thing. Yeah, I remember people loved it.
They had a free fruit bar at Slaaneshmas? Let's fucking
yeah,
I think it was like
huge tables of like
yeah.
snacks and food and stuff. It was sweet.
That's awesome. 2 thumbs up on that, Bird. That's
definitely hit that
fantastic.
up before we hit the road, dude. I was like, all right, here we go.
Hell yeah. Yeah,
That was cool.
that's I mean, I haven't seen that before. Yeah, TOs of the world, a cornucopia. Full support. Great use of $200 or whatever. Like, that's great.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. I also like how he what was it? He trying to mess with us at one point, calling out the deployment names and the foods, and then he did stop doing that.
Okay.
So thank you for not trolling us anymore, Bird. He also had a very funny moment of, I think someone messed their rules up, and he's like, "This is their yellow card punishment. I'm gonna tell you over the entire speaker." And that was very entertaining. So I don't know. The vibes of that tournament are always very goofy. Just kind of feels like you're getting like trolled by your uncle the whole weekend. So
Classic Bird.
Okay. Can I derail things for a slight second to ask you guys a question
Yes.
based on the last episode of Actual Stat
Of course
Check?
you can.
Someone on the most recent Stat Check episode, or maybe it was the second most recent, asked us about they were like, what do you do when your opponent like makes a mistake to give them a take back? Like they forget to bring in a unit that that it was turn 3 and they had to bring it in, and they said that the viewer had said that what they do is they'll say, yeah, you can bring it, you can shoot it, but you have to shoot it -1 to hit. Pretend I pop smoke. Like I basically get a free smoke in exchange for your idiocy. And the Stat Check guy was like, this is incredibly stupid. And then Sam Pope was on this. I don't remember it was him or Anthony had the idea of like, okay, like what if I say something like, yeah, you can bring in that unit, but you have to sing a little song first to show how much you want it.
awesome.
Oh my god, man.
I think this is a fantastic idea that takebacks should continue to be very much a part of 40k in reasonable ways, and absolutely should come at the cost of mild humiliation, because we absolutely have gotten a little bit too soft on ourselves and should be better at holding ourselves to higher standards as players. And also, it should not mean that you lose games. Should just mean a little bit of embarrassment. I think this is a great idea.
You're right, actually. Me screaming "wah" at the top of my lungs is too much for you at one table over. But you should absolutely be allowed and socially encouraged to make me sing when that's not something I want to do. You're right.
Well, alternatively, your unit dies.
You don't have to bring the unit in. You made the mistake. You can choose if you want to pay the price or not. I'm wholly within my rights to not let you bring that unit in. That happened to me at the team event. I lost 40 neophytes in reserve because I didn't realize what turn it was. That's on me. If I had to do a little dance,
would you have
throw a little dance in order
sung a little dance
to get him on the table?
do a
Absolutely.
song
Absolutely, I would have. I think this is a great idea.
I wouldn't have. I just wouldn't have made a dumb
Do you know the words to "I'm a Little Teapot"? This is a great idea. I think this is wonderful.
I'm a little dipshit. My name's Tyler.
Anyway, moving on. Let's get into the actual event itself. Seems like it was overall a good time and some cool new stuff going on there.
Yes.
Great. Let's get into the list, starting with Mr. Lukas, taking a slightly different take on EC. Like, I know it doesn't look like it, but genuinely made some meaningful differences from what I think has become kind of the default.
Yeah, this is my Coterie EC take. I'll go through it and then I'll talk about the differences from what I played at Teams 3 weeks ago, and then also the difference from the standard list, which I feel like is Lennon's list. I've got 3 Winged Princes. 1 is the Warlord. I've got 3 Lord Exos. I've got 2 Lord Kakos. 3 squads of 5 Infractors. Sergeant has a Power Sword. 2 squads of 5 Tormentors. Sergeant has a Power Sword. 3x6 Noise Marines. Sergeant has a Sonic Blaster. And then 2 Rhinos. So this is different from my teams list in the fact that I dropped the combined 3 enhancements on a Prince and bought another Kako with that. I like extra units in EC. I definitely feel most comfortable just piloting any given list when I have a lot of different units. I like redundancy. I like backup plans. I don't like feeling like the one thing I'm doing is the only way to solve a problem. So just a little extra juice really goes a long way for me. I tend to not be able to squeeze maximum value out of like a trick or a gimmick or like getting I'm thinking about the flip of 6 here. This is the one that most EC players swear by. It's like, I'm never going to drop this. It makes such a big difference. And I would just 10 or so EC games I played leading up to Slaaneshmas, I was never able to really get value out of it. So, and the other 2 enhancements are dog shit. They never do anything. That being Pledge of Mortal Pain and Pledge of Eternal Servitude, the Resurrection. So they don't really count. You're basically swapping flip a 6 for a Kako. And when it got diluted to that in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is now very clear to me. I'd rather have another unit. And that Kako for me was just always in reserve. He forced my opponent to screen. He would come in and just shoot some pistols a little bit, do an action. Just a nice little guy. Yeah, the differences from John's list. He obviously still has the flip. He cuts an infractor unit. I find the infractor is absolutely invaluable for dealing with tough targets. People trying to stat check you on objectives. You can really dogpile them with multiple squads of infractors, Prince Charge Mortals, grenades. Their real to wound is one of the ways, and lethal hits is one of the ways that your army can punch up into tough stuff. I'm sorry, I don't trust Noise Greens and Winged Princes and my own skill to, get me over the line against Knights or Chaos Knights or something like that. I need a unit with lethal hits and reroll the wound baked in that's fairly cheap in my roster. 2 of them is not enough. So that's why I have third. I'm not running the Mauler Fiend. I find the Mauler Fiend a little bit suspect on lots of layouts. I'd rather have another unit that goes in a Rhino. So yeah, just all the normal EC good stuff. But you get rid of a couple of the tricks and sauce in exchange for just like 1 or 2 more units. Yeah, that's about it.
Very cool. Looking forward to seeing how it works out for you. And up next, Mr. Nick.
Yeah, let's talk about the coolest now.
Okay, dude.
That's all right. You got 3 demons in yours. That's pretty cool. I got 5 demons in mine. So yeah, I'm playing Demonic Incursion. I kind of had this little idea for a goofy bit in my head. I was like, Tyler's a big fan of basketball. I think he'd get a big kick out of this. So we're gonna kind of go through the 5 stars of my roster one by one, explaining their, what they do a bit for the list.
Oh, I realized I forgot to add positions.
To toggle over. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We got this is definitely our point guard.
All right. So we got Lord of Change with the Ever Save. So this guy, right, he provided some much needed shooting from beyond. I don't know any of these like basketball terms here. So people read in this. I don't know. Should we read it? Should I
More
just
people listen to the podcast than watch the YouTube, so you should read
All
this.
right. I'm gonna read what this says then. Okay. So the Lord of Change, he provides some much needed shooting from beyond the arc in the form of his Strength 12 Bolt of Change, but his D3 damage makes him unreliable. Remember, this was before his massive buff. Does he have what it takes to be on the starting lineup? We'll find out in the games ahead if he did anything. Let's go on to the next guy.
You totally skipped that he's the number 6 overall pick in this year's draft, which I thought was a great pick.
Fair. I think that was Kairos, but yeah. All right, we got Great Unclean One with the Endless.
This is definitely your power forward.
Yeah, he's been a staple of this team since the
Oh wait,
start.
no, this is your center. This is your 5. Sorry, Roddy's at the 4. Cool.
His T13 and Fort Philopane makes him nearly impossible to defend in the post. He leads the team in assists through his uppy downy plague bearer kickouts and handoffs for easy layups inside. He's an excellent shot blocker, a defensive anchor for this team, and will certainly be scoring some points. All right, here we got Scarbrand, the Exiled One. That's
your
his
small
official
forward
title, apparently. Yeah. He was recently treated from Team Blood Legion, but he continues his signature style of advancing and charging to removing early threat or get the fight going. He's very aggressive in the pick and roll, but the gravity he exerts can make space for other members of the team to shine from outside. Scarband's kind of the GOAT.
I take it back. He might actually be a volume 2. Nah, he's a 3. Cool.
All right, Rodigus, the Rainfather. He often supports his fellow teammates, especially Great Unclean One, by providing with +1 damage in the fight phase. Don't get too close to him, though, because his aura of -2 to move and -1 OC will ruin any thoughts of getting to the hoop, which is primary.
Because it's like a circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then here's your actual volume 2.
Yeah, this is the star of the show. Be'lakor, the Dark Master, the first Demon Prince, and the star of this team. His auras of 18-inch Lone Op and reroll ones to hit make him lethal in transition. While he's on the roster, his team can take on any opposition regardless of home court advantage. He doesn't take all the glory for himself, though. His 6-inch aura of the Shadow of Chaos is an unparalleled source of shot creation. Thank you, Be'lakor. Shout out.
I really hope Cliff listens to this episode. I don't know who else will enjoy this, but I had a lot of fun with these. This is great.
Thank you for editing it. I know no basketball terms, so I appreciate it. All right. However, we would be nothing without our mini support staff or the bench. Wow. We got 2 squads of 10 Plague Bearers, 2 Beasts of Nurgle, the Mask of Slaanesh, and 3 Nurglings. That's
man.
That's the list.
That's a list.
It's a great list. This list was a ton of fun.
Hell yeah. Excellent. So let's get into the event itself. Round 1, we are starting off, as all tournaments do, with Purge the Foe, Crucible of Battle. And I don't know what tables you're on. You'll have to tell me as it happens. So starting up, we have Lukas here playing into Hearthband Votann. This has been kind of the new hotness in terms of Votann. People have kind of come around to that Grotmist detachment. It does a lot of cool stuff with the Hearthguard and just generally having its reroll ones to wound against the right targets, I think. Is just a nice buff to have. So we've got a 9-year champ. We've got 2 calls who went down 5 points, by the way. Look out for that. 4 squads of 10 Hearthkin. Let's fucking go. This guy's playing Votann the right way. 4 Sagittars with missiles for them to ride in. King shit. I am splitting them bitches. I don't need no stinking Jaegers. I don't need no stinking Capricus. Thought control. 3 Thunderkin with grab. 5 Zerks with hammers. Hell yeah. 2 squads of 5 Hearthguard with something. Doesn't say. 2 land forts with Magna Rails and 3 Bikerinos. This dude showed up with his index collection, and he's making it work, and I respect it. How'd this go, man?
This was an interesting game. This is my first time playing against Hearthband. I'm not also that familiar with the new Votann, so it took me a little bit of time to make sure I understood his rules about fortified takeover and hostile acquisition, what I call defense and offense, respectively. Yeah, it's I like the mechanics in this army. I think most builds going to defense just kind of makes sense for thematically the way Votann wants to play, and -1 to wound is a pretty big math changer, and it really leans into that like dwarven stubbornness that I think is pretty cool. Hearthband, also pretty sweet. Being able to get extra AP on your Hearthguard, and they have rerolls, 1s to hit, and then the detachment means they have reroll 1s to wound, and they have 6-inch deep strikes, so you can make sure that your closest target is the closest target that you indeed wish. They're not that tanky, per se. The -1 to wound helps a lot, but they really can get in on the target they want to, and they're very efficient because they hit on 2s, rerolling 1s, and they wound on good values, rerolling 1s, and it's like AP for just a lot. So yeah, this was a cool list. It was on Purge the Foe, and so unfortunately, my opponent's plan of splitting up MSU Warriors into Sagittars just ended up giving me more kills, and I ended up having way more primary control than he did. And yeah, he was getting his kill and hold, but from turn 2 onward, I was just like 4 points up on him every single time. Pretty cool list to see. The Sagittars were a little interesting. Kind of sad going down to T9 OC2, to be 100% honest. That thing could easily be T10. I think it'd be pretty reasonable. But yeah, cool to see a couple of the pieces that usually you don't see in a Votann list. No Jaegers was definitely pretty unique. EC, I feel like, can deal with them more easily than other armies because Noise Brains can kind of shred them from out inside a Rhino using Firing Deck. Strength 6 AP 2 ignore cover does really well into T5 5-up armor. But nice to not have to deal with that reactive move. So yeah, pretty solid win overall round 1.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, man, that sure is Purge the Foe. Cool. Mr. Nick, by contrast, is himself playing into Emperor's Children. We've got ourselves a singular winged prince and the man himself, Fulgrim. We're playing Peerless Bladesman, by the way. Don't know how I missed that. Coterie, never heard of her. 2 Lord Kakos, as Lukas does. Lucius the Eternal, what a legend. 2 squads of Infractors, 3 squads of Tormentors. Can never have enough precision melta-guns. 2 Rhinos, a Mauler Fiend, and 2 squads of 6 Noise Boys. Mr. Nick, how did this game go for you?
Yeah, so this guy, it was his first event, and he was just really excited to be playing. He immediately locked in on getting into a big monster brawl right off the bat, which, I was all for. So that's what this shot is here. If you're watching, I went first. I just kind of put my Guo on my expansion, tried to block off some charging by having some Plague Bears surrounding him. I think my lock flew up and took some pot shots at Fulgrim, who was deployed on the line with cover, so it did 2 damage or something. Fulgrim sprints in, whips the lock to put poison on him, charges the Guo, doesn't do that much damage to the Guo. This is kind of the first of many where the mask starts to become very helpful. So for those who don't know the mask's rules at the start of the fight phase, she picks an enemy unit within 6. She points at it, and she says, every model in that unit is -1 to wound in melee. Every Slaanesh model is +1 to wound that unit. Doesn't really matter because she's my only Slaanesh model, but what it does mean is when she wanders around following the Guo, they're often wounding this guy on 4s or 5s or 6s. So it makes him even that much more tankier and much more able to hold my expansion or whatever objective he's sitting on. So Fulgrim runs in, bounces. I don't do that much damage back. The Guo's not actually that good at punching stuff because he's only strength 10. He sends the Wing Prince in. He kills the screens surrounding my lock. I think Scarbrand charges the Wing Prince, completely bounces, hands him 2 saves. Bummer. Bellicor charges Fulgrim. Fulgrim pops fights first. For those who don't know Fulgrim's rules, he picks 1 of 3 at the start of your opponent's command phase. So he picks fight first. Bellicor takes quite a bit of damage going in. Him and the Guo finish off Fulgrim. Then he 6's dog on me, and the Mauler Fiend kills Bellicor exactly. After this, though, it's Mauler Fiend's dead. I do manage to finish off that prince. He puts a big squad of Noise Marines in the middle to start shooting me, but at this point, it's I think I've only lost Bellicor. He's sacrificing himself for the good of the team. And we managed to basically just sweep through the middle. I think at this point, too, this is when I start assaulting his home field with this. I guess it's not really a big trick. It's one of the few, tools this detachment has where you uppy downy a Guo or Rodigus. In this case, it was Rodigus. And then it provides a locus, basically, of Shadow, which you pay a command point to Deep Strike 6, and then now your Plague Bearers or any other Nurgle units can Deep Strike 6 as long as they're wholly within 6 of the big guys. So Rodigus basically acts as a drop pod. I drop some Plague Bearers in. I go for the 5-inch charge. He's got a +1 to charge. I steal his home field. And then it's the last stand of the EC as his entire army standing on his expansion. And Scarbrand and the Lock and Rodigus and the Guo come barreling in. But he manages to hold me off at the end there. I couldn't shift that much OC because a bunch of buildings are in the way. So this is a really fun game to start with. My opponent, I think I checked in with him after the tournament. He said he had a complete blast and he was really excited to play more events. So yeah, this is a very, very fun game.
Good stuff.
To start off with, very funny moment, by the way. My Lock never took any damage from attacks this game. He ended the game on 8 wounds because of Fulgrim's poison turn 1. Which ticks in both players' command phases. It's just a debuff that's on them for the whole game.
What is this?
So Fulgrim is a thing where after he attacks someone, if he hits them, you pick 1 unit hit by his attacks, and he infects them with poison. And then for the rest of the game, in each player's command phase, you roll a dice on a 4-up, they take D3 mortals. I was like, does this go away when he dies? Because like it's cited to his data sheet. He's like, no, it's a condition that you get. I'm like, fair enough, man. All right, yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you kill the WARBANDS, that doesn't go away. Totally, it makes sense.
So my lock just slowly was getting drained down this entire game. Poison.
Incredible. I love it.
That is pretty funny.
Sweet. Alrighty, cool. Well, both boys looking 1-0. Heading on into the second round. Good score there. We are playing Tipping Point. Oh, what board did you guys play on, by the way?
I played on layout 8.
I played on layout 1.
Spicy. All right. Round 2, we are playing Tipping Point Scorched Earth. Play Scorched Earth on the symmetric ones. Stop it. No, sorry, that's the opposite. No. Play Scorched Earth on the non-symmetric ones. I love this. This is great. Big fan. Tipping Point Scorched. Super cool mission. Sorry, it's late, and I'm not thinking straight. Awesome. Love this bird. That's a really cool mission. I assume you guys had a lot of fun with this. I think it's really interesting. Oh, never mind. Lukas played against Victrix. Okay. So we've got Emperor's Children versus Blade of Ultramar. This is the new Ultramarines detachment. It's Gladius, but different and kind of better, kind of not. It's stupid. We've got a combi lieutenant, because of course we do. We've got Calgar with his honor guard, because couldn't possibly just say to play them as regular honor guard. Anyway, we've got Ventress, because that still won't die. We've got 5 Incursors, 3 Outriders, 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts, I imagine with Macroplasma Incinerators, a singular Repulsor Executioner, 5 Scoots, 2, not 1, not 3, but 2 whole squads of Victrix Guard, I assume one of whom has the fancy banner, a singular Vindicator, and a singular Whirlwind. Yeah, this is definitely one of the more kind of reasonable, and by reasonable I mean there's a bunch of random crap tacked onto it Victrix list that I've seen so far, but it is still a Victrix list, and it is still terrifying, and if the right guy's behind it, it's going to be a hell of a thing to get through. So how did this work out for you, Lukas? First off, what layout were you playing on?
This was layout 1 against Joel Rogers, who is a really good Space Wolf player up here. Firstly, massive respect to this guy, because even though he's playing Ultramarines, he did have a very dope-looking Space Wolves army painted in dark gray rather than that disgusting light blue color that they always use.
Space Wolves playing as
so much better than fucking sky blue.
Were his Victrix like Victrix, or were they like cool converted Space Wolf
head takers and the 30k Varigear? Very cool.
Fucking go, dude. That's a Victrix that I'm okay losing to.
I am so excited to get killed by these fucking guys instead of goody two-shoes Marines. So yeah, interesting list. Obviously, having to deal with only 2 squads of Victrix is so much better than having to deal with 3. But he's got some stuff in here that's going to be problematic for me. Namely, this goddamn Whirlwind. The Whirlwind in Blade of Ultramar, if you haven't seen it, is actually not a troll pick. It's very, very good. While Calgar is on the battlefield, or maybe in your army, either way, you can repeat doctrines, even if you've already... You can repeat doctrines. You can do dev, dev, dev. You can do assault, assault, dev. You can do dev, assault, dev. You can do any combination of 3 doctrines if Calgar is either on the battlefield or in your army. Basically, what you do is you sit, in the early game when Victrix lists are a little bit slower in theory, they kind of mill around for the first couple turns. You just go Dev Doctrine and you stick that goddamn Whirlwind in Storm of Fire, and you pick one enemy infantry unit and you're like, Oath target, you're dead. And then the next turn you repeat Dev Doctrine, and then you put that guy in Storm of Fire, and then you pick an enemy infantry unit and you go, hey, you're dead, because the Whirlwind is strength 8, AP 3, damage 2. Ignore cover. So it 80 to 90% of the time just greases 5 Space Marines. For this reason, I am terrified, right? Because my normal play of I scout my Rhinos forward to get aggressive early on, hop the Noisebearers in, doesn't work, because if I go second, he kills an entire Noisebeard for free. That is untenable. So I have to play a little bit of a slower game. Luckily, I go first, and my Tormentors sticky my objectives. And we kind of get into an early trading type game where he's putting his Outriders on the objectives and trying to react and move away. He's putting his Lieutenant on the objective, trying to react and move away. I'm trying to trade into them as efficiently as I can. And we end up in this squirrely situation where I kill a lot of his trash early. I get my coterie going. He's coming out with the big boy units to come hit me in the face. And we get to this squirrely situation, and I'm just like trying to do charge mortals to him and picking off his resources. The biggest inflection point in this game, honestly, was I removed everything that wasn't the Repex or the 2 Victrix squads by turn 3. I had killed both of his Redemptors. I had killed his Incursors, his Outriders, his Scouts. I had tagged his Whirlwind in his backfield. His Load Up Lieutenant was dead. And meanwhile, I had all these scraps all over the place. So he ran around bashing my scraps for a couple turns. But the removal of all of his trash meant that, like, on turn 4, when he drew Deploy Teleport Homers and Sabotage, he's like, fuck, well, I got to recycle one of these, and drew, I don't know, Overforce, scored a 3 or whatever. Because he has 3 units left. He can't afford to deploy a Homer in my backfield. So, and then turn 5, that same thing happened. He was obligated to burn my home objective with Marnius Calgar, who was in Ingress this game, so he couldn't score Sabotage back there. Like, he got the ideal bottom 5 Sabotage draw, but he just couldn't score it because his only unit that was back there was Marnius Calgar, who was burning my home objective. So really just 1 or 2 extra units alive in the mid to late game would have done Joel a lot of favors here, and I am able to squeak a win largely on the back of a little bit of secondary differential where he just like couldn't quite score the points that he needed to in the last 3 turns. So yeah, kind of a wild game. I think honestly, if he just goes brain off, put the Victrix on the objectives, I can't flip them and I can't get my coterie going, and he maintains his trash. Like, it's so much of a swing that you gotta not do the normal thing of like put the cheap thing on the objective first against DC. You need to be able to take a risk and be like, yeah, if you want to send those infractors in, they're gonna take their pound of flesh and then I'm gonna kill them back. The most important thing here is that you don't give my army real ones to hit and wound, and he gave my army real ones to hit and wound on turn 2. That's just the kind of the opposite. I don't blame him because it's not very intuitive, but you got to play like an opposite game of Warhammer against coterie. But really, really well played overall. Other than that, just like kind of macro way to approach the game, and definitely enjoy playing against Joel. He's taken my scalp many a time, and I'm excited to get this one back on him. It was felt good to beat the Victrix Menace.
Seems like a great game, man. Hell yeah.
It was.
Sweet.
Yeah. The Whirlwind, I was glad I was able to manage it. Starting the Noise Brains in the cars was the right move, and luckily I went first, so I was able to Tormentor Sticky my objectives.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely something that is exploitable about the especially the 18 Victrix builds is they don't have a lot of units. So things like sticky objectives and just kind of generally standing in their way tends to provide some amount of utility. So the Tormentor Sticky was pretty essential.
Fair enough. Nice. Alrighty. Well, sweet round 2. Let's head over to Nick's side over here. We're playing into Death Guard, and that is Taliban Death Guard, the cool version. Holy shit, this list has a spicy fucking unit in it. I am looking forward to that. He's running Mortarion and Rodriguez and a Great Unclean One. He's got a Lord of Contagion with Fell Harvester. He's got 2 squads of 10 Plague Bearers. And this motherfucker, this absolute fucking beast of a human being, this specimen
a piece of Nurgle even,
children, has a unit of 33 Death Shroud Terminators. Let's fucking go, dude.
Woo! Typo, boys! Woo!
No, he said I'll show mercy on you, and he took 30 out of his list.
Oh, man.
Very
what a
honorable
generous
move.
god he is.
Yeah.
I hope he showed up with all 33, just to flex. Just needed to show off how good he was.
Imagine that. Picture that unit in your head.
Oh,
The 7th edition moment, dude.
Indeed. All right. He's got 2 squads of 10 Poxwalkers. He's got a squad of 6 Nurglings, 2 I assume that's 2 individual beasts of Nurgle,
Yeah.
and a squad of 2 spawn and 2 Mythitic Blight Haulers. So 3 bigs and then kind of a mix of medium stuff. Kind of a cool list. I'm curious to see how it works out for him. How'd this go, Nick?
Yeah, so we're kind of playing the same army. I have 2 more bigs, but like he's tanky, I'm tanky. We're also playing on layout 8, so like those little plates with like the terrain you can move through but can't stand on, it becomes a very quick nightmare for our armies. Because like I don't know if you know this about Guos, but they only move 7 because it's the blessed number of Nurgle. They can like barely clear that if they're like touching it. So there's a lot of like we are trying to move block each other and not move block our own models, and also like we have some scary melee. So it's like a single beast of Nurgle or like a single squad of Nurglings like blocks off one of our guys from getting charged. Also, since it's Scorched Earth, right, the middle doesn't really matter. And flipping expansions is what matters, but like flipping expansions is really hard when there's giant like walls of meat in front of each other. So I go second, so it's like, okay, the onus isn't on me to like play this aggressively, right? Like as long as like we keep drawing similar secondaries, right, I can like maybe clear his screens or like clear through his army and then like steal one of his objectives at the end of the game, or like turn 4 I look for like a 6-inch deep strike play. So this game, I think he goes first, just kind of establishes his like screens, his plague bearers. He locks down his expansion. I do the same thing. I send my Guo over to my expansion. I don't have a picture of that, but like basically I had Guo at the front of my expansion, and right behind him was Locke and Bellicor. And then I had Scarbrand hanging out on the other side, threatening to go to his expansion if he ever like let me. And then I had like some screens protecting Scarbrand, but also Scarbrand could go to the middle if he decided to like try to walk to the middle and burn or something, or like try to stage in the middle in a certain way. He ends up kind of calling my bluff. He ends up ingressing his not ingressing. He ends up deep striking his Death Shroud, and I think he decides to not go for the charge with them. Or he whiffs it. I think he whiffs it. Yeah. I did, the cringe, like my plague bearers are 1-inching this wall sort of thing. And so he ends up just kind of running his Death Shroud and his Guo and Morty in all at the same time. So his Guo is attacking the flank over there with Scarbrand. He has Morty and the Lord of Contagion Death Shroud unit charge my Guo, who, with the mask pointing at the Death Shroud, right, I managed to tank this just fine. I don't do a lot of damage back, as mentioned, right? The Guo doesn't hit that hard. I honestly expected the Guo to die. This is kind of one of the first like cases of Pour Up Feel No Pain being absolutely ridiculous. I think the Lord of Contagion guy passed me like 15 damage, and I saved 10 of it. So that was cool. And then Morty got 2 wounds through and rolled double 1s, even with like a CP reroll. I'm like, all right, so I take 4 damage from Morty, which is actually 2. All right.
I forget he's not flat 4 anymore. That is such an iconic Morty number.
But now we kind of have this weird situation where like the Guo's move blocking my army because I kind of thought he would die. I'm like, I guess it's nice that he's around, but I'm not gonna like fall him back. So Rodriguez comes sprinting over to the other side of Morty and starts beating him in the head. And then Bellicor charges the Death Shroud because they're up against the wall. So we managed to like slowly whittle down these Death Shroud. We managed to barely kill Morty. Morty does his fight on death. I think with his fight on death, he doesn't clear the Guo either. Like same thing. He gets 2 wounds through and it's double 1. So I'm like, all right. But I think the Lord of Contagion, who survived because I didn't one-shot the squad because of his Sword Feel No Pain, he ends up finishing off the Guo. Scarbrand is slowly winning the fight over with this. So the kind of now like this is the remnants here where like, okay, I'm like clearing his Blight Haulers in the middle with Rodriguez. Scarbrand is winning this fight with a Guo because the Guo passes him like, I think the Guo, this is also another moment where like demon saves are funny. He passes me like 3 saves. I make all 3. I pass him 6. He fails 3. I'm like, take 18. Well, that happens twice. His Guo dies. Rodriguez, I tie down with Plague Bearers, tagging his Rodriguez, and I also keep pointing the mask at his Rodriguez to go, no, you win those Plague Bearers on, what is it? I think I'm T6. Yeah, there's a bunch of whole weird stuff with like he's minus toughness, but as his Death Guard units start dying, he's no longer minus toughness. I do manage to finally clear through like enough meat by turn 5, and I draw like secondaries to go take his expansion, which he's burning, and I just uppy downy advance and charge, and I managed to take it. And we take this game, but like not a really high score. It's just a really hard army to push on. Like, I mean, this picture here for those watching, it's just all of our models lined up in the midline of the board fighting each other. Like this just was like rounds 3 and 4 was just beating on each other for like the entire game. Like not like and scoring the same amount of points because we couldn't flip expansions and we were drawing like similar secondaries. Goofy game, dude. Yeah. He also had enough to screen his backfield pretty well. So like because he still had like the beasts in our goal that the Nurglings came back for a command point after I killed them, and then he just put them on his home objective because he stickied it. I'm like, oh, I can't get that anymore, you know. So yeah, he did a good job screening my 6 inches. But hey, victory for Chaos Demons.
Nice.
So we had a little more meat in the end. But this was a fun game.
Excellent. Nicely done. Sweet. Moving on to round 3, then we're going to stick around with Linchpin playing. Stick around with Tipping Point playing Linchpin this time around.
Fun mission.
Yep, it's a classic, and it's going to be EC versus Renegade Raiders Chaos Space Marines. It's a faction that's been making a lot of noise recently for not receiving a whole lot of love, but it's got some cool stuff going on. It's got a Chaos Lord. It's got Cypher. It's got a Dark Commune with Mark of the Hound. I assume that's Scout. What is the enhancement they take in this?
That's he should be Dread Reaver, which is real hits and wounds while you're within 12 of the opponent's CZ.
That's the
Gotcha.
Disco Lord.
Oh, I'm blind. Mark of the Hound is Scout 6.
Yeah, it is Scout 6.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So he's got Scout 6 on the Dark Commune. He's got reroll hits on the Disco Lord when within range of the opponent's DZ. He's got 10 Cultists, 2 Rhinocerais, 16 Accursids to go with the Dark Commune, 2 squads of 3 Bikers, a Predator Annihilator, 2 Predator Destructors. So that's 1 quad las cannon, 2 autocannon double las cannon, and then a squad of 5 Chosen to go with that Lord, a squad of just 5 Warp Talons, and 2 squads of 6 Noise Boys. What's this all about, Lucas? How'd this go? And what table you play on?
I played on layout 8 for this one, and this was probably my most interesting game of the weekend. And also, I don't think it was not my closest, but it certainly felt that way. Basically, the way this goes is Tom goes first, and he is very adept with this list. He likes playing Renegade Raiders in more of a jail style. You can see that not a lot of people like running this Accursed Cultist unit, but when it has the Scout 6, you can pretty easily get it to your opponent's side of the board on turn 2 basically every single time. And so what he's doing here is he's using Bikers and the even like the Talon unit and the Chosen and the ACDC and just kind of like jamming them forward and getting in the way. And then like he's positioning his Predators and Rhinos to shoot a little bit. And then once you've dealt with that first wave of jail, he continues to cram forward the Rhinos and uses the disembark strat and just kind of like keeps you back for enough turns that he's denied your primary and held his own, and then he tries to win the game by 10. And this strategy worked out pretty well against me. I had an unfortunate break on turn 1 where I sent a Exo squad in to kill 3 Bikers that were on the middle objective. And Tom and I were thinking about the math because obviously I have to tell him if I'm going to reroll the hit before he uses AOC. And I'm like, this Lord should probably just annihilate the Bikers. I'm just going to go ahead and spend reroll hit to be sure, though, because it's going to cost me an extra CP to bump on my pledge by 1 because I pledge 0. I think spending 2 CP to guarantee that I get my coterie on turn 1 is worthwhile. He's like, I think similarly, I'm just going to spend a CP to see if I can deny you that. And that CP being for AOC, by the way. So he AOCs and then rolls 4 5-up armors against my Lord. He rolls like 2, 3, 3, 5, 5, 5, 5, 6. So that would have clean wiped the Bikers if he didn't AOC, and instead I killed 1. And then the rest of the morons in the squad killed the wounded Biker. So I spent a CP and did not kill his unit. And then the Disco Lord that heroic in slaughtered my men and got him 5 on primary. So that was fucking horrible. And this began Tom's great push toward the sea, where he just like full Omega sprinted into my deployment zone with those aforementioned units. The Disco Lord auto advancing and advancing charging. The Dark Commune using its native advance and charge to just get onto my home objective. And at this point, he hasn't killed that much stuff. He's killed like both of my rhinos, which exploded on all 3 of my demon princes. Sorry, 2 of them. Why? Because everything fucking explodes on my demon princes, apparently. So he's like killed my rhinos. He's killed that exo squad that I sent in on my turn. He's like wounded a noise marine squad a little bit. He's killed both of my squads of tormentors. So he hasn't done damage to my essential internals, but he's like killed both my rhinos and he's killed both my tormentors, and he's taken over the whole table. So now I'm in like damage control mode and setting myself up to mega push back on him. So between the Demon Prince charge mortals and not noise marine shooting, but Demon Prince charge mortals and another Lord Exo squad, I am able to work down his ACDCs. And then I'm able to kind of consolidate a little bastion of power over by my expansion. He sends his Lord plus Chosen in to hit my Demon Prince pretty hard. I'm sorry. I am not convinced by Lord plus Chosen squads. Having no rerolls on that unit, big sucks. And so that Lord goes in and does like hands the Demon Prince 1 save and 1 lot of dead wounds, and I fail the save and then use Feel No Pain and like take 2 damage. Sick. So I'm able to scrape that unit as well. I'm able to scrape the 6 noise marines that he sent onto my expansion. So at this point, this is like a classic. I'm way up on material, but I'm way down on points because he's jailed me. So the rest of the game is just a scramble of him trying to use Renegade Raider strat and bring in his reserves to try to fortify his expansion and hold on to his home. I infiltrate his back corner with a Lord Cacophonist who goes on a little Rambo secret mission to kill his cultists and ends up getting their bottom of 5. And it's just like a real knockdown, drag out brawl where, you can see he got 13 and 8 in the early primary, and then I got 3-3. But I made a huge comeback later on as like the Predators just don't make consistent contact on Demon Princes, right? They get like 2 hits with the last cannons. They get 1 wound, and I probably blast the invuln, and the first invuln I fail every single turn. I'm going to re-roll it. So these princes are just rolling through his army at 8 wounds, falling back and charging into a different Predator every turn, doing 4 charge mortals. My noise marines are fully activated with real ones to hit and wound. They're massacring his noise marines and his rhinos, and he's just like completely runs out of material. And in the last turn, he's like trying to scrabble together enough points, but like I have so much stuff left that I'm easily able to get any secondaries I score, and a 15 is trivial. So I end up sneaking out a pretty close win on points, but was really scared for the jail there. This definitely showed me the power of once you get rolling with Coterie, it's really hard to stop it. But the most important point is that very first one, right, where they try to get their captain rerolls. Like the whole detachment could read captain rerolls on turn 2, lieutenant rerolls on turn 3, and it would be like at 85% power. You could have 0 strats and it would still be really good. So if you can interrupt that cycle, really, really powerful. So well played to Tom to realize that like even though the AOC play was unlikely to work, it was enough of a big deal that he should have spent that CP. And that's something that I feel like most Warhammer players, there's a lot of talk about, what's the guaranteed play? Like I need to make sure that the CP is guaranteed value. Sometimes it's just worth it to try to go for stuff. Even if it's unlikely to work, just go for it. And it could provide a big enough swing, even if it's only a 10, 15, 20% chance. You just got to go for it sometimes. So yeah, it was cool to see. Really good game against Tom. Had a blast, and looking forward to the next one.
Hell yeah, dude. Sounds like a crazy fucking game.
This was a absolutely crazy game. Yeah.
I feel like going for the jail on EC is... At first I was like, that seems kind of sketchy because you're handing them a bunch of units. But then I was like, oh, but you're handing them a bunch of units without buffs up. So like, maybe the tempo is enough. Like I respect the play. I think it's
also you always describe to people thrill seekers as fall back and charge, advance and charge, fall back and shoot, advance and shoot.
Yeah.
But there's times it really isn't. And one of those times is when they tag you in inopportune places, right? If your Noise Marines are in your deployment zone and they're move blocked by a unit of ACDC and you really want to fall back and shoot into something that's over there, well, you're going to have to go through the ACDC unit, and you can't fall back and shoot the ACDC. And the guys that got tagged on the other side can't support themselves. Like it gets awkward if you find the right places the right pain points to push on. And he absolutely knew the right places to do that.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good point. Noise Marines are 18-inch range at the end of the day.
Yes.
There's a significant weak point to them that I had not considered. Cool.
Yep.
Very good learning. Sweet. Meanwhile, Mr. Nicholas over here is playing into Combined Arms Guard. He's got Gaunt's Ghost. He's got Sly motherfucking Marbo. Hell yeah. Ursula Creed, as is tradition. Acadian Command Squad. Not one, but 2 Rogaldorn commanders. 10 Cadians, 10 Catachans, 20 Kriegers, 10 Kazarkin, a Leman Russ battle tank, 2 Scout Sentinels, 2 Chimerae, and a Tarox. Is this Joshi?
No.
He plays like almost exactly the same list. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Looks like layout 1.
This was layout 1. This was probably my next 3 games are all really fun. And like certainly pretty scary. I think this was my all right, you've been having fun kaiju battles up till this point. Now you must play against tons of models, and also models that can shoot you to death instead of models that can just punch you to death. So this game was certainly a bit scary. I went first on Linchpin, which is always scary, especially into an army like Guard that has so many bodies, because you know that at the end of the game they're probably going to get a 15. Or what is it? Does it cap at 18 or something? Or is it cap at 15? Whatever the end of game cap's at for Linchpin. So you know that you have to try to deny that somehow. You also know you're at like a bit of a secondary disadvantage, right? Because they have extra bodies they can afford to go do actions with. I don't. This is a game about like peeling open transports, killing the guys inside as quickly as possible. I need to utilize every activation I can. That means utilizing all the guns on all my greater demons, right? All of their melee, having them activate as many times as possible throughout this game. If I try to play the long, slow, drawn out game with this guy, he'll just keep sending in like, OC 30 guys to deny my primary. And like he'll resurrect a squad, right? I'll lose the material war that way. So I go first. I think I like put a beast synergy on my expansion. I advance a bunch of stuff into that little pocket there on layout 1. I have the lone up aura up on Be'lakor, so like if he wants to shoot me, he has to get really close. He deploys pretty conservatively. I think he's a little not frightened, but he's just a little wary of Scarbrand. If he gets like a good Scarbrand advance in charge turn 1 or 2, then it's like that is a loss condition for him, right? If I get in there and tag a bunch of shit. So like he's being respectful of that. He deals with my Beast of Nurgle very easily, right? He has his Kazarkin show up out of a Torox and annihilate it. They put a few wounds onto Be'lakor as well. And at this point, I'm kind of looking at the board, and there's 10 Kazarkin and a Torox standing in my expansion. There's basically all this other stuff just kind of laid out in his DZ. He's moved a Chimera and a Sentinel and another Chimera and some Catachans up to his expansion. And I'm like, okay, if I just pass to this guy and give him an 8, like, is he just going to deny my 8 again? Like, yeah. So, okay. What do I have to do then? Like, we should go for the 6-inch deep strike play, right, with the Guo. Well, if we're going to do that, why don't we send Rodigus in too to give us more chances of getting on that objective? And if we're going to send Rodigus and the Guo in, why don't we just send Scarbrand and Be'lakor in too? So this not a very big brain play, but a very quick, like, okay, this is the moment where I do have to send like my whole army in. Because if I do like 3 and then 2, he can answer that very easily. But he can really only kill like 2 greater demons on his clapback with his Rogaldorn commanders, because I'm not getting to them. I do think on this turn, he does expose the Rogaldorn. He used it to like shoot at something turn 1. I think it was some Nurglings in the middle. Yeah, because I got area, and then he ended up getting like area or something. And so he has to kill the Nurglings with something, and he doesn't want to get another Kazakin squad out. My bird walks out, spends a command point for +1 AP, and I shoot this Rogaldorn down to like 8. So like, let's go, big bird. The Scarbrand sprints in, he yells at Sly Marbo in the middle and kills him. Be'lakor walks out. I think he shoots some shots at the Kriegers, which are right behind Sly Marbo. He manages to kill like 8 or 9 of them, which does make Scarbrand's charge a little harder. I think it went, but like Scarbrand's charge was pretty blocked off from Marbo anyways. So Scarbrand basically has like a 6-inch charge into this Krieger brick. Be'lakor is charging this Taurox. I have some Plague Bearers behind a wall that are charging the Kazakin on there. Bird has flapped to the middle, and then Guo, Rodigus, and Plague Bearers drop down. One of them spending for the 6-inch Sheep Strike, and then the other 2 appearing around them. And I think they use their Flamers to kill the Catachan squad on the objective, and then I charge the Chimera. The Guo and the Plague Bearers get in. As you can kind of see here in this image, right? The Guo just plants on that objective. The Plague Bearers, get out and tag all the guys that spill out of the Chimera, and they tag the other Chimera, and they tag the Scout Sentinel. I'm just trying to tag as much of this guy's stuff as possible. Scarbrand pops command point for +1 AP so that he can cut through the Kriegers because they have +1 save active. He unfortunately whiffs a little bit, and I think 1 Krieger lives, which is very sad. Be'lakor also giga whiffs and doesn't kill Taurox. Like, I just like only get like 2 wounds through, and he rolls double 1s for damage. I'm like, yo, what the fuck, Be'lakor? But we've kind of done it fairly decently. He claps back. He manages to annihilate Scarbrand, which is like completely understandable. What's really funny with this though, kind of the legend of this Krieger squad starts happening. Well, I'm going to cut back to this a little. So they regenerate before they have to take shadows, right? And I think he has 2 left. That's what it is, because he has the 2 medics left. So he regenerates D3 +1. So basically for the rest of this game, they keep regenerating like 2 or 3 guys and then losing 2 or 3 guys until like round 5 when they finally pass their battle shock. So that was very funny. Scarbrand though gets annihilated by his army because he has no like stealth or anything like that. I didn't pop the reroll ones to save because he has 2 Rogaldorns, a Kazakin squad, and a battle tank pointing at him, and I'm like, Scarbrand's dead. See ya, dude. However, Scarbrand has one last gift to give before his untimely demise, and it is an explosion. I've never had this guy explode in any of my Blood Legion games. I forgot Greater Demons explode for D6. Very funny. He unfortunately only does 1 mortal to the Kazakin. That could have been really good, but he does do like 3 to the Dorn, 6 to a Scout Sentinel, like 5 to a Chimera or something. Dude is just like mad. Be'lakor gets chipped down quite a bit by like his last guy that he has to shoot. I think I pop reroll once to save there. And Bellacor's at like 6. Bird's untouched. Guo's untouched. Rodigus is untouched. I hold his expansion. I hold the middle. I hold my expansion. Let's go. All right. We go over to my next turn. Be'lakor heals because he passes his battle shock. I do make the mistake of moving because at this point Gonskos dropped in the back to blap my mask who was doing sabotage. I moved Be'lakor because I was planning to move him backwards to go fight Gonskos, but I was like, I'm declaring a move with him, and he shot me with the Lehman Russ with full hit rerolls because I'm on an objective. And this guy pops off, dude. Let's talk about 6s, lethals. Be'lakor fails all his saves, instantly dies. And I'm like, you know what? In retrospect, I should have just been like, that probably will kill me, and I'll just shoot with Be'lakor and force you to spend an activation killing him next turn. But, mistakes are made. Bird sprints in to like start tagging some stuff. Rodigus sprints in to start tagging some stuff. My Plague Bearers are down there still tagging a bunch of things. Guo's getting in the mix. We do manage. He basically can't flip that expansion anymore because we have like Rodigus, Guo, Remnant Plague Bearers on there. We're killing all the Kazakin down there. He doesn't have enough OC. I killed the Chimera down there. I killed the Scout Sentinel down there, I think. And my Plague Bearers up top next to Be'lakor, they turn around to go deal with Gaunt's Ghosts because I'm like, I can't have this unit uppy downing all over the place scoring secondaries. So now begins the long battle of 10 Plague Bearers versus Gaunt's Ghosts. His next turn, he manages to pick up the bird. He manages to get to my expansion because I have nothing on it at this point. It was just sticky, so it forced his battle tank to run over to there. He's completely abandoned his expansion, and because of that, I end up uppy downing Rodigus to go for a 6-inch deep strike charge on my expansion. And he does, and he manages to flip it from the rust by just going on there, right? Because he's OC5 to its OC3. The Plague Bears are slowly winning their duel with Gaunt's Ghost. I think it's just Gaunt and like one guy left at this point. And then his regenerated Kazakin squad shows up and they just kablam the rest of the Plague Bears. And we're heading into basically my last round. I like score all the points I can. I end up getting a 69. I'm like, dude, whatever happens, happens. Good luck. And throughout this entire game, Shadows in the Warp has been very relevant, which has felt really cool. Because like most of the time, like when I was playing Blood Legion, I'm like, hey, Shadows, Shadows, Shadows. And then they roll boxcars. I'm like, all right, never mind. Into Guard, I'm like, hey, roll that Shadows. And he rolls like a 5. I'm like, all right, lose, three Kriegers, or like lose your Scout Sentinel. That's on 1. I think both of these Scout Sentinels ended up dying to Shadows, which was very funny. So he draws Cleanse bottom 5 and he draws Assassinate. And he ends up killing Rodigus. But unfortunately, when his Gaunt's Ghost squad came down out of the sky, they failed their battle shock because they're below, and they have to take it at -1. Because at the time they arrived, I was holding, the midfield was Shadows, because he didn't flip the objective then. I think they end up rolling like a double ones, so they can't do Cleanse, which is very cool for me. I think this ends up being like a 2 or like 5 point game or something, if you want to slap it over the score. Yeah, it was a very scary game. As you can see here, very classic Demons. Primary advantage there. End up beating him on primary by 12, and he ends up beating me on secondary by 8. So, yeah. Absolute blast. Definitely had to, stretch my army to the limits, getting every ounce of damage out of it that I could, and like kind of learning to utilize the tricks that I'd been, learning in my first 2 games.
Hell yeah, dude. That sounds like a real nail biter. Glad to see the army rule finally putting in some work. Nice.
Yeah.
All primary. Very cool. All right, cool. That brings us to the end of day 1, and you boys are both undefeated. Love to see the boys up on top. What are you guys worried about going into day 2? What sharks are still in the water as the pond gets smaller?
There's 18 Victrix. Tim's just been running in a straight line through people. Doing pretty good at that. What else?
So have you.
So have I.
Yeah, so there's 3 undefeated 5 demon guys. There's Guard. There's Joshi's Guard. There's 18 Victrix. There's myself on EC. There's Gareth Hunt playing Orcs. He's got 40 boys and 30 flash kits. Who else?
Sisters.
Yeah, there's Champions of Faith, very default dance build. I think there's one other person, but I'm forgetting.
What are you worried about of that pool?
I think I can beat Sisters. I think I can beat Orcs. I think I can beat Guard. Those are all playable games. If the demon players have a pulse, which I mean they're playing 5 greater demons, so they might not. But there's no way in hell I can win that game. And then what was the other one? The Victrix is going to be tough. I've beaten it before, so at least I have direct and immediate experience. But that one would be tough. So we'll see. I'm not overly confident, to be honest. I think there's only like 1, maybe 2 matchups in the undefeated 10 that I'm favored into. But we'll see what happens.
How about you, Mr. Nick? What are you scared of going into this? You think you can take down the Guard?
I'm feeling great. I'm like, give me Guard again, dude. I will make less mistakes this time. That was an absolute blast of a game. Let's run it back. What I don't want, honestly, at this point, I'm just happy to be playing games and having fun with this army. I don't want to play Sisters because that sounds like a very boring game. That sounds like a game where I can't kill their units and they have way too many things and they kill me at Mach 10. And I kind of know how the game's going to go. Every other matchup, I'm excited to see how I do in these because I think there's a game here. And I think it'll be fun. I don't really want to play a Demon's Mirror because, that sounds kind of dumb. I already played that with Taliban technically, and it wasn't the most exciting because it was Scorched Earth. Maybe it'd be a little exciting on a different mission. But also, like, those are my boys, dude. You know, I need them to take down other people. We got to have demons win this event, dude. So, yeah. But it'd be fun to play them. It's Chris and Kenny. They're great guys. I know it'd be a fun game. So, yeah. Mostly just scared of sisters because that game would be very boring.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, let's see if you're right. Moving on to round 4, we've got Crucible of Battle Hidden Supplies. Not the hidden supplies you see the most often, but certainly one that's out there. And sure enough, Lukas is playing into some more Victrix, this time a few more of them. We've got Captain Sicarius. Is that old Sicarius or new Sicarius? Nobody knows.
What do you think, dude?
We've got Calgar with 2 Victrix guard, not to be confused with Marnius Calgar. What's the new one called? Marnius Calgar.
Armor of Antioch or some shit?
The Armor of Antilochus.
Oh, my bad.
You fool.
Armor of
We've got Uriel Ventress. We've got a combi lieutenant with the Armor of Antinonymous, not to be confused with the Armor of Antilochus. We've got 5 intercessors, 5 scouts, 3x6 Victrix, 2 Redemptor Dreads, and 2 Vindicators. This is a well-tuned killing machine. What's that joke, Lukas? How can you tell if the tournament floor is level?
I've not heard this joke. What's the punchline?
The drool comes out of both sides of the Victrix player's mouth at the same time.
What?
That's how you can tell the floor is level, because it doesn't, like, if the floor weren't level, he'd be drooling more from one side than the other. Anyway, how'd this go?
It's too late for me to understand anything. Okay. I mean, I got completely pasted. Yeah, basically what happened was turn 1, he goes first and stages a little bit. I respond by staging a little bit. He puts his entire army in the middle of the open on the objectives. I dump every single piece of damage I possibly have into them without any rerolls. I kill a Vindicator. I get a Redemptor Dreadnought to 4 wounds. And then he kills 2.5 Demon Princes, all 3 Lord Exo squads, a squad of Noise Marines, both of my Rhinos, and a squad of Tormentors.
Cool.
Really got outplayed that game.
Skill issue.
Yeah. There's probably something to be said for, it really did not help that we were playing on hidden supplies, right? There's not really a way for me to outflank him. It's like tipping point. He can spend it's such a greedy list. It's got a combi lieutenant, a scout, and an intercessor. But like, especially on tipping point, it's trivial to screen your backfield with those 3 units and just prevent me from getting any kind of rerolls at all, while also preventing me from outflanking him to maybe try to like flip his expansion or something. But like, how am I flipping it from a Redemptor, man? It's just tough. The EC rules don't allow you to easily work together to kill tough targets, right? Thrill Seekers he pushed up so disrespectfully that I was able to still multi-charge him, but it was not easy to like launch my Lord Exos away from heroic interventions and get my Demon Princes past him so I could pile in and maybe try to tag stuff. Because one of the problems was his Victrix were right behind the wall of hulls that he pushed in front of me. So he didn't, he could just advance and charge, go super deep the following turn. So maybe I could deny his advance roll. I don't know, man. I died at such incredible speed that I got nothing. This is in the app as Gladius Task Force, but this was another game against the new Blade of Ultramar. Definitely informed my I was before this event, I was on the Gladius is essential because it helps you win the game against in melee matchups. No, you win melee matchups anyway, because your army is 300 points undercosted. You have a +1 CP guy, and you have a -1 CP guy who ingresses himself with Vect. That was the -1 CP part, but
like the fight on death auto, sorry to step in here, right? Like, it isn't that great because you're not killing that many of them, right?
It's in theory for high pressure matchups like orcs or world leaders that can, because like a world leader 20-man berserker squad or a slaughterbound joined to 3 or 6. If people are teching a melee unit to hit Victrix Guard, I am confident that they can clean through a brick of Victrix Guard. Like I know that Khorne berserkers can do that, for instance, right?
All right.
And that's a scenario where, 2 CP, just full fight on death them and kill most of their unit on the way out is pretty damn good. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? Because for them to use their +1 AP strat costs them 2. For them to use -1 damage down, instantly explode costs them 3. Their interrupt costs 3. Like their charge reroll to get into combat costs 2. Like melee games come down to CP. And Ultramarines are playing with 15 and you're playing with -5. Like it's just insurmountable. So a bit of a disheartening game, obviously, but yeah.
Alrighty, moving on, Mr. Nick here. Apparently, there were some undefeated orcs, or maybe you got a pair down. That's exciting. We
mentioned this guy.
Oh, you did?
This is the orc list with 40 boys.
Oh, yeah. This is
This is Gareth.
What's his name? Gareth Hunt. Yeah, of course. Cool. We got Gaz. We got a Big Mac with Follow Me Lads. We got a Pain Boy with Cunning But Brutal. We got a War Boss with Edwapa's Kill Chop. I do not see people taking this enhancement very often. That's cool. We got 2 squads of 20 boys, 3 squads of 10 flash kits, 11 grots, 10 mandos, as you do these days, 2 squads of 5 storm people, a battle wagoon, and 3 whole truckaroos. Seems like orcs, but a little less MSU than usual. How'd this game go?
Yeah, so I immediately look at the list. There's 0 beast bosses. This game's winnable. Let's go. Normally, orcs is a very tough matchup for demons, right? Because like you have to demech them, and then the guys that get out annihilate you. Beast bosses especially are good at that, right? Because they're the anti-monster dev wounds, so they'll just like cut through greater demons at Mach 10. What is scary about this game though is the Gaz brick, right? It is able to like hold 2 objectives simultaneously. So the entire game is basically me trying to, and also what's scary for him, I guess, is my Guo. The only thing in his army that can actually like kill that Guo is the Gaz brick. So this game is me trying to engineer a situation where I force him to commit the Gaz brick, but then try to like, have an opportunity to punish him for that. And also we're playing hidden supplies. So like I'm trying to deny his early primary because I'm going second here. Because my hope here is that I outlast him long enough to like, walk out and get a 15 at the end. He does a really good job. He doesn't like go for the early bait. He clears basically the things that I send out there to deny primary early or like try to hold my primary early. I think he doesn't go and deal with my Go on my expansion like early at all. He's like, you can get your 5. I've got this like battle wagon that's screened over here with a bunch of shit. I'll keep getting 5s here. We'll just like tie for a little bit. We're kind of just like knocking each other off the middle objectives with like shooting, and like he's sending in like storm boys or to like basically tag an objective and flip it for my beast and Nurgle. He does end up calling a turn 4 wall. This is after I'm like kind of looking and I'm like, I need to force him to like come out here a little bit more. So I basically uppy downy Be'lakor Plague Bearers, and I use the 6-inch deep strike and then the shadow around Be'lakor to 6-inch deep strike the Plague Bearers, and the Plague Bearers charge the wagon on his expansion, and then Be'lakor and Scarbrand charge the screen that he's put out there. Scarbrand kills the screen. Be'lakor piles into the wagon, kills the wagon. He ends up, I don't end up flipping his primary off this. It's kind of like a situation where I'm like, well, I could not try to kill the wagon, deny him 5, but I think the way my Plague Bearer charge ended up, it was like this weird situation where I had to base a lot more of the wagon than I thought, and I couldn't actually get enough OC on the objective. I'm like, whatever, I'll just pop the wagon, and then he has to wad next turn, or else these 20 boys are dead. And I don't think 20 boys with a War Boss kills Be'lakor and Scarbrand, right? Because they're not the Gaz unit. And also there's a bunch of Plague Bearers that are standing in the way now too. So he does end up calling the wall. This is like bottom of 3. So top of 4, he yeets Gaz unit in to go to my 2 objectives, my expansion, like the other midfield close to my side. He charges the Guo. He charges like a beast and Nurgle. I've got the mask nearby. She points to the Gaz unit and says, hey, I negate your +1 to wound with -1 to wound. Meanwhile, down in the other side, his unit of boys, War Boss, some of them died on the way out, which was kind of cool as well. They come in, they charge Scarbrand and Be'lakor. They end up doing a lot of damage to Scarbrand, but not killing him, and a decent amount of damage to Be'lakor. The Gaz unit is neutered pretty effectively by the -1 to wound from the mask. And also my greater unclean one again starts scamming people with the Fort Philippine, and this is like the second moment of the tournament where I'm like, this model's not okay. So I think he passes me like 16 damage with Gaz, and I CP reroll one of them, and I take 12, and I end up taking like 3 or something. So the first it's stupid. So thank God that shit's gone. Completely reasonable. It's a 5-0. So the Gaz unit ends up doing 9 damage to the Guo through my -1 to wound. He does flip the 2 objectives, right? Because he's like OC a billion to my like OC 5. But then I send Rodigus and the mask in. And down on the other area as well, I have ongoing combat with Be'lakor Scarbrand. I shoot with one of them. He pulls Be'lakor out of combat, who then manages like shoot some guys off his expansion. Big Bird, he comes in. Oh, I forgot to say last game, Big Bird soloed that Dorn. I forgot to follow that up. Yeah, he shot the Dorn a second time with -1 AP, and he's like, haha, and killed it. To be fair, Scarbrand's explosion did do 2 mortals to it, but I think my bird ended up doing like 11 damage the second time around because this guy couldn't make a 4-up. So hey, you know what? Rookie of the year, dude. Rookie of the year award. So Big Bird here has a very important moment where I'm like, all right, there's like 6 flash kits on this guy's like one of his midfield objectives. I don't think Bird will kill him, but like he can shoot them, and then maybe I can like engineer. Like I have a Beast and Nurgle still just sitting around on there. Like hopefully I kill enough of them to like still contest this. Big Bird one-shots the unit, dude. He just like kablams the flash kits. Just like doesn't roll below a 2 on the damage. Let's go. In ongoing combats here, we have a very funny situation where he rolls a 6 to wound with his Pain Boy. And he goes, oh, that's a critical wound. You're going to take D6 mortals on Scarbrand. I'm like, I thought that's like infantry only. He's like, no, it's anti-infantry. But the syringe works on anything that's not a vehicle. I'm like, oh, okay. And then he rolls 6 mortals and just kills Scarbrand. I'm like, okay. Sure, dude. Be'lakor does manage to finish off the rest of that squad, though, because he charged backwards. And then over on the other side with Rodigus and the Guo, I think Rodigus does quite a good amount of damage to that squad. However, we still have Gaz left, and he's like, I'm killing this Guo. And so he still has all his buffs up, right? Still his Wa turn. I think he pops crit 5s, and he just slams into the Guo as hard as he can through my -1 to wound. And he does 10 damage this time. And the Guo lives on 1 because another string of 4 Philippines absolutely scamming him. I think at this point, Gaz has handed him 28 damage, and I have taken like 7 from him or something stupid. Cool. Thank you, GW, for finally identifying that's a problem. We do manage to then flip my expansion back because we have Guo and Rodigus just hanging out, and I think he just has Gaz and Makari left. I managed to kill the whole squad through ongoing combat and like +1 damage and all that good stuff. And then also Rodigus is making him slow and subtracting his OC. Turn 5, he kind of just draws some secondaries to hold his home field, and he like screens with his last remaining flash kit unit. And then I just, wander onto all the objectives and get some primary. So yeah, this was a very fun, tense game that just exploded like turn 4. So it made for a very action-packed like last 2 rounds.
Holy secondaries.
Yeah, my secondaries were pretty good this game. I guess also so were his. So
wild.
Yeah. This is like a game that's like 1 beast boss away from me losing though. So like the second 20-man boys is not that good into Demons, I think, because they don't have the all the crazy shit that Gaz has.
Yeah, for sure.
So also big shout out to Lukas for beating me to death with orcs for years, and that helped a lot.
Cool to see a 30 flash kit list. As bored to death as I am of Warhorn, this is a thing that I've thought about more and more. That unit's really fucking Warhorn, man. Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really good into Admech, really good into Sisters, kind of absolute doggy doo-doo into Space Marines, but you can't be good into everything. Also, what's good into Space Marines? Really good into Guard as well. And they're dirt cheap. They also slam when they're nearby Makari during the WA. Like 50 attacks at 6/1/1, and then you can spend his EP for a crit 5 lethal sus. Like shooting unit, by the way.
Yeah, they also are just knobs at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And then them roaming around in trucks is fantastic, right? Because, like, yeah, they don't get the extra shot because it's on their datasheet ability, but, like, you still just get to shoot, like, a shitload of guns out of the truck as it's zooming
Yeah,
around.
you can kill 5 morons, which is something that Warhorde really, really struggles to do.
Yeah.
I like 10-man flash kits in this attachment. This is a cool list.
Yep.
Nice. Alrighty. Lukas has fallen, but NOJ continues on to the finals before the top cut. We're playing Tipping Point, Take, and Hold. And Lucas's consolation prize for getting battered by the Ultras is... Oh, it's our boy. It's the boy, Mr. Alex Pena, and his Rubricate Phalanx T-Sons. Maybe it's Rubricate. I don't know. But he's got Ahriman, he's got a Footprints, he's got 3 Terminator Sorcerers, one of whom has Risen Rubricae, that's the Infiltrate, 3 squads of 10 Terminators, 2 squads of 2 Sector Robots, 3 Zangor Enlightened, and 2 squads of 10 Zangors. What table did you play on, Lucas, and how did this game go?
This was layout 6. This was a really fun one. So I actually just played this as a scrimmage game in a TTS league that I'm in. Got absolutely pantsed. That was admittedly into a 20 Terminator 20 rubric variant, and the rubrics are really nasty for me because while I can kill them much faster, they also do like so much more damage to me. So like as trading pieces, they're quite effective. You can kind of break me on the anvil of the Terminators and then hammer me with the rubrics. This build is spooky. This build is spooky as fuck. The biggest thing to note here is that, again, EC struggles to team up on targets unless you really engineer favorable scenarios, right? The problem, obviously, here is that Rubricate Phalanx has 1 CP advance and shoot, and then they have 1 CP fall by shoot and charge. I would say 60 to 70% of the damage of these squads is buried in the character, the sergeant, and the 2 morons that for some reason can carry a sword, a minigun, and 2 rocket launchers on their back. Those 2 guys are assholes. They do so much damage. So you can go into one of these Terminator squads, you know, they're +1 to save against damage 1, they're -1 to wound permanently, they have a 4-up invuln, and they're probably going to spend a CP to reroll to save because, actually, no, they're not. The stretch in this attachment are really good. They're not going to do that. But anyway, it takes a lot to cut through those first 8 Terminators. And then once you do that, you have to cut through the 4 Wound Sorcerer. And then you get to the good bits at the very center. So my point here is that it's really hard to get through an entire squad of Terminators. And if you don't, then you're going to be shot by 70% of the damage. This was the problem I had when I played into the game in the scrimmage where I got absolutely pantsed. It was like a 4-16 or something like that. It was because I went into all the Terminator squads. I killed 6 from one squad. I didn't really hurt the other squad, but like hurt some Rubric Marines. Like I did damage all over the place. And then his squad that was tagged fell back and shot. And I'm like, oh my God, it's all the minigun and the rocket launcher guys. So this game, I really paid attention to that. And if you play against Rubricate Phalanx, you really need to, like, before your go turn, be like, hey, where are your Soul Reaper Cannon guys? Because they're going to want to keep those models in the squads alive. So if you're going to team up on the squad, you can guarantee that you're not going to lose attacks by placing your models near those 2 men. And so I knew where his Soul Reaper Cannons were. I dogpiled one squad in the middle of the table. I did tons of charge mortals to it with Demon Princes. And then the other squad was shoot with Noise Marines, Caco Mortals. Shoot with Noise Marines, Caco Mortals. Take some Battle Shock tests. Okay, you failed. Here goes the Lord Exo squad. I'm going to precision out your character, and then we're hugging the last 2 guys that are the Soul Reaper Cannons. So either you're going to dodge the other Lord Exo squad that I threw in, or you're going to lose those 2 models when I swing in. And Alex had to make that hard decision. You know, I don't really care if 2 or 3 guys with both guns and swords survive. I do really care if 2 or 3 guys survive, and then, you know, it's the Soul Reaper Cannon and the Missile Launcher, because those guys absolutely slam. So this game ends up looking like a careful dance in the early game where we're trading a couple of resources. Again, I'm getting coterie going while this is happening. Right, like my Lord Exo squads are not excessively useful into him because They're strength 4, damage 1. So the Terminators are like, you wound me on 6s and I get 2 up armor saves, even though Lord Exo's kind of bouncing off with his damage too. So I use those squads early on to get my coterie going, and then the Noise Marines kind of do some cleanup in the mid to late game. Ends up being a really close one. Ends up being a really, really close one where I have a hero Rhino that started the game on my home objective, yeet onto his expansion, roll a 6 on its advance the following turn, yeet into his deployment zone for like behind. No, I didn't have behind. Where was it? It was engage. I engaged in his home quarter, and then the following turn, I rolled a 6 on the advance to yeet around the wall to those Zangors who were trying to do defense stronghold, mowed them all down with real ones to hit and wound bolt guns, charge in, tank shock, slaughter the last couple guys. This hero Rhino earned me like 15 points. So, yeah, that's pretty goated. But yeah, it ends up being a super close 2-point game. I think, honestly, this game is super Rubricate Phalanx favored. Right, the -1 to wound is super punishing for Noise Marines and Demon Princes and Exo squads, and that's all my damage. If you just take the Terminators and plonk them on the objectives, and all of your trash is standing behind, then you can score points with that trash in the mid to late game, and your Terminators can be that anvil, and they take much less damage from the coterie when they go in. My go turn, I think, killed like 18 Terminators or something like that. I think it gets bumped down to like maybe 12 if I don't ever want to hit and wound. And at that point, again, that's two more of those Soul Reaper missile launcher guys living. And that's a huge deal. That's a huge deal. Each of those guys kills like an entire squad of Space Marines by themselves. It's absolutely ludicrous. So yeah, I tried to exploit that to the best of my ability, and it happened to just barely work out in this particular game. I didn't realize here, and I think a lot of this was because Alex lost so much of his very limited trash early on, how little he scored on secondaries. Like, I won this by 2, but he still beat me by 10 on primary, right? So like I scored so much more secondary than he did, and that was because, 10 Zangors died on turn 1, the 2x2 Sekitar died on turn 2, and then he was out of trash. Like, you can't lose those, and his Airman died on turn 2 as well. You can't lose that much trash on turn 2. Playing a fucking 9-unit army. But he played the game very well other than that initial macro decision to send forward the trash first. It was really interesting to see. So, yeah, GG Alex was a lot of fun. Rubricate Phalanx is so cool, man. It's so cool. I love this aspect of T-Sun so much more than the super elite wizard Magnus bullshit. No, just like a legion of dusty boys walking towards you. It's pretty sick. Any build that spams Terminators is a great one in my book. So
I don't know, man. Sounds like a Gunch build. Seems kind of cringe, but fair enough. Moving on.
Hey, Terminators are cool. Come on.
Anyone whose plan is I'm just going to stand in the open and take all your damage and still be here is incredibly cringe. Moving on.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's time for round 2 of Blade of Ultramar.
Yeah.
You already heard the list, so I'm not going to read it again, but it's the one that beat Lukas. Can you avenge your brother?
I'm going to try, dude.
All comer. How'd it go?
Yeah, will I take? It's only at 6. So that's okay. I mean, I don't know. I don't really care because like I loan up 18, and then when he gets close enough, like he's shooting me anyways, This man's got one plan and it's going forward. So I'm excited to pair Tim here because pretty much what's left is like Demons and Sisters. And I'm like, well, Sisters would be very boring and Demons is the mirror. And I get Tim. And I'm like, I've never actually played Tim at a tournament. So I'm very excited. We were just having like a great time, like joking around with each other, setting our models down. We're like, all right, let's play some Warhammer, man. So this is about to be an absolute blast. He goes first. He ends up scouting the Sicarius unit up to the middle. He puts the Venture squad in deep strike. He ends up touching the middle. Basically, it's taken hold. So he's like, hey, you come to the middle, man? You want to come here? Like, I'll reactive move away if you send in too much. And if you send, or I'll reactive move towards you if you send in not too much. And I'm like, well, that's pretty cursed. I'll 6-inch deep strike a Beast of Nurgle onto that because you didn't screen it enough, you bozo. And Then I had my bird lined up to shoot, and that's when he reminded me that these guys have Blood Surge. I forgot that Victrix have Blood Surge. Thank you, Tim, for telling me before I was about to shoot you. But he's like, by the way, I'll Blood Surge in and steal this back. And I'm like, oh fuck, they have a 16th rule. All right. I'll shoot the Redemptor Dread instead. All right, cool. He pops AOC. All right, one of his 15 CP gone. He then ends up being like, it's turn 2, so it's time to send in my army. And he basically pops Dev Doctrine. He shoots some shots at the bird. We have a very funny interaction if he rolls max shots on his Redemptors twice, and the first Redemptor does 11 damage, and the next Redemptor does 2. Very cool. Space Marine moment. He charges the Beast of Nurgle in the middle. Fucking RIP that guy. He screens me pretty well with like Sicarius. I am holding my expansion with the Guo. He takes some pot shots with the Vindicator, does no damage. Lamau. He still has the Marnia squad staged pretty aggressively, but like it's kind of out in the open because he's like, I don't give a shit if you shoot this with your bird because like my army's here. And I can't move. You can't move the bird actually because like Overwatch threat. And then he still has the Ventress squad in the sky. So at this point, I'm like, all right, I gotta like try to deny the middle primary, right? We're playing take and hold. I got bottom turn. I'm starting to see a line where he like abandons his backfield, right? And I go for some 6-inch plays back there. And so my game plan to win this is like, I'm gonna try to slow down this big death ball in the middle as much as possible while harassing his expansion and his backfield and holding my expansion and my backfield as best as I can. Because the only unit he has that can like go back there and steal my backfield is the scouts. Yes, he could Ingress Ventress' squad in, but I think I end up deep striking Rodigus in such a way on my turn 2 to like deny that Ingress. Like I push it back really far. So it's like it's going to be at least 2 turns before you get back here. And then I have my Mask sprint up really far to deny the Ingress heroic play in the middle. Because I'm like, I don't want Ventress coming down here and just messing this whole thing up. So I send Scarbin and Bellicor in. He reactive moves closer to me to like screen me. They end up killing the Sicarius squad through AOC, but nothing else, unfortunately. Big Bird shoots a Redemptor down to like 3 through AOC. I have the Mask charge backwards. She rips a lone up lieutenant in half, get fucked. And then we have her consolidate onto my expansion, which is important because I haven't been able to sticky it yet. Because my Plague Bears weren't able to get there turn 1 because they were doing an action, so they couldn't advance onto it. So his turn 3, he basically collapsed back by, he has a Redemptor auto pass, so doesn't risk dying to shadows. So he has Redemptor, Vindy, Calgar squad, Ventress squad. And those guys combined basically through oaths and, Lance Strat and the banner. He does a kind of interesting thing here where he puts the banner with the Ventress squad, and then he puts the blades with the Calgar squad. I think it's to like make because the banner makes you up to strength 6 or something. So it's just some sort of like breakpoint thing to like spread the damage out a little bit better. Because he's like, I don't think the Calgar squad needs the banner, right? So that was interesting, I guess. He annihilates everything in front of him. He, on my turn, I deep strike 6 in his backfield. 2 with the Guo and the Plague Bearers, and I do manage to flip his backfield. My Mask sprints to the very top corner of my objective, on my expansion to make it really hard for him to come over there. And then my Rodigus sprints into the middle and touches everything. I'm like, you're not going to kill Rodigus in 1 round of combat with double Victrix, right, without Lance. And right, big faith here, but like I believe you shouldn't. And I also have Assassinate at this point, so like I spend Epic Challenge, I rip Ventress out of his squad, I skewer him, get out of here, dude. So the idea here is like I've tagged a bunch of his stuff, so he's forced to Tactical Doctrine next turn, and he can't Assault Doctrine to try to like flip my expansion or run backwards or like run to my home field or anything like that. So he has to Tactical, and also Rodigus has the -2 move aura, right? So it's going to really slow down his ability to come flip my primary. He does, with his 1 squad of Victrix, fall back 4 inches from Rodigus, and he's just barely within 12 of the Mask. I'm like, all right, well, you have a declarable charge. Like, I'm on the very edge of the objective. There's no more, like, there's no further I could have gone. Tim, like the absolute bastard man he is, rolls a 6 and a 5, but the 5 is like insanely cocked. Like, it lands on like the side of a wall. And Tim's like, all right, well, that's not flat at all. Picks the 5 up. I'm like, don't do it to me, Tim. Rerolls it into a 6. God damn it, dude. That ends up being a 12-point swing because it's 5 primary for him that I can't deny round 5. It's 5 primary for me that I would have got round 4. And also I immediately drew a secondary that the mask could have scored for 2 points. Very sad. He does also, I think in his turn 4 there, he needs like a 4-inch advance on these scouts that he ingress to steal my home field. And he does get it with a reroll. Very sad. Not as crazy as like the boxcars charge though. Like a 4-up's a 4-up. But at this point, I'm kind of like looking at like the points I can score, and I'm like, my victory is very slim now. So I do manage to do some uppy downy bullshit like bottom 5, right? I get like a 10, I think. I get some bring it down. Unfortunately, right? Like that 12-point swing with him being in the charge onto the mask is like, that's it. So I think this ends up being like a 4-point game. Like 79-75. Absolutely blast of a game. And I mean, kind of like what we were talking about, right? We've been hinting at this whole show, right? Is like a big weakness of this list is, especially this 18 Victrix variant, is that it has no trash, right? The only reason I had a game here is because like he had to abandon his backfield in order to like do his big pressure plan. If he didn't send enough into the middle, he might not kill all 3 greater demons there, right? And now we're like brawling in the middle. So yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good about it. Like, I went 4-1 playing Incursion for the first time, man. Like, I lost to, some broken shit, and I almost beat it. And I had a really fun game. Tim was, I mean, great to play against. Just exactly what you want to see in a player. Like, very communicative, very back and forth. Like, yeah, this game flew by because it was, not a lot of stuff on the board, and also just absolute blast.
Hell yeah, man. Sounds like a real good one. Valiant effort, but unfortunately our second defeat and the conclusion of the take all comers attempt at the event. I will have to find Timothy Grant and kill him myself. Hopefully he's coming to Palm Springs so I can beat his ass. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Gaunts don't beat Victrix, but we'll figure it out later. Some final thoughts, gentlemen, reflections on the lists you are playing, the state of the meta, what's coming next. Make it quick. I want to go to bed. Let's hear it.
Oh, Lucas is muted.
Lucas, your mouth is moving, but you were muted.
I enjoyed EC a fair bit. I had one game against a newer player round 1. I had one game where I got absolutely pasted by someone playing something incredibly powerful and understanding how to play around my detachment. And then I had 3 very close games where, either my opponent didn't understand how to play around coterie, or they, we got into a big scrap that I barely won. This army is really fun. I'm not sure how you're supposed to win an event with it in singles, because it struggles if your opponent knows how to play against it. And that sounds incredibly obvious. Like, every army has difficulty if your opponent understands the pain points, but there is no recourse for certain things in coterie, right? There's just a threshold where you can't deal with the target. And there's also some swings that just what happens if you go first and you go for a 4-inch charge and you fail it and you have to re-roll it, and all of a sudden you can't bump up your pledge by 1 or whatever. So there's just so many awkward fail points that when you hit them all and it doesn't crumble, you feel like a maestro. But when it does, it's just it kind of leaves a little bit of an unsatisfactory taste in your mouth. And I got that both in my round 4 against the 12 Victrix Joel and in round 5 against Alex. It's that doesn't quite feel right, because if you just put your trash in the back and your big units in the front, I lose. Yeah, and I haven't. It's weird because I haven't felt this way about any other army in Warhammer that I've played. Usually, it's you could have done this to counter my WA threat, but I could have countered that by taking this different unit or attacking you a different way, or maybe ingressing. There's always push pull, but with coterie, it just really does feel like the game just stops at your opponent understands how to not give you rear ones to hit on turn 1 or So I don't know. There's definitely a lot of armies it's really strong into, but like I said, in singles, it feels like it's not there. I don't know. I had a lot of fun though. It was a really fun event. 3 close games against 3 really good armies and great players. Like, fantastic. But I'm a little confused about my feelings on EC right now. How about you, Nick?
Yeah. I had a fucking blast. Demons are really fun. I know it's like the default dance, right? Army that like it's been out there forever. Having some agency, like in terms of like the Guo drop pod was very fun. And I really enjoyed all my practice with Blood Legion, kind of teaching me to like not play the trade game and just play like the full pressure game. I think that really helped a lot. In getting some of these more difficult games wins or making that victorious game as close as it was. I think for Demons going forward though, right? Like Incursion got like a very slight nerf, right? Because the Guo went from the 4 up to the 5 up. He is a lot more interactable now. I think that's completely fine. I don't think that changes stuff that much. The more important thing is like birds got really good. So like scintillating is looking really interesting. Unfortunately for our team event coming up in February, Tanner said if birds went to 3 damage, he was going to be playing Demons, and they did. So he's yoinked them from me. So I got to go find a different army to play for teams. I'm honestly kind of looking at guard right now. That guard game that I played really opened my eyes to like how absolutely insane this army is. Like there's just so much depth to it. There's a lot of like skill expression. I think it's a really interesting book. I think that like that new detachment looks really cool. I think that combined is like always there, and I also think hammer looks a little interesting too. So I'm gonna do some messing around here in the next few weeks, try to see if I like guard, and if I don't like guard, I'll probably take all those like big pressure skills that I've been learning and like translate it into like world leaders or orcs or something like that. Like the whole Blood Legion thing was originally I was gonna play world leaders, but we didn't have enough berserkers to borrow, so I ended up playing Blood Legion instead. So yeah, that's kind of the directions that I'm headed here. Kind of looking for an army that I can try to push for some big wins for teams. So looking forward to be practicing that in the next few weeks here.
Oh yeah, man. Looking forward to seeing what that does for you. Sweet. Well, before we sign off, we are contractually obligated to answer a couple of listener questions. If you'd like your question answered, you should ask it in the Discord. And if not in the Discord, in a super chat. And if not in the super chat, it should be a really good question. If you want to know about how to do those things, links. First question comes from Henry the Wizard, who asks, Lucas, does 0 orc changes mean that orcs are currently perfect?
No, I don't think orcs are as horrifically doggy doo-doo bad as Michael Mann makes them out to be, who is one of the other orc people out there. Orcs are fine. Yeah, they really, because of the straightforward call your shot and advanced nature of the army rule, it's just always going to struggle into the top of the meta stuff, because the stuff that's at the top of any given meta is like the most dynamic, the most damage, the most defense, and orcs are like, here's the stuff that I think is good enough, and it almost never is. But in terms of like a B tier army, yeah, I think it's like right in the middle of the pack. So
cool.
Are they currently perfect? No.
Alrighty. Second question, also for Lucas. Lucas, why are the world leaders still good, and what list would you run in a team's event? This comes from Ivan, who I don't recognize. Probably
world leaders are still good because the MSU build was always the suboptimal way to run them in teams. You run Corn Berserkers. France did it right all along. You run Corn Berserkers. You avoid scary matchups. You get the good matchups. And you pile driver people the way Corn intended. Get your stupid Demon Prince. Get your dumb shooting out of here. Your MSU character hero hammer bullshit out of here. Maximum men. 20-man squads. I don't care that you don't like horde armies. 20-man berserkers are based. And if you can't figure out how to make them work, it's probably because you're an idiot. Thoughts?
Thanks for joining us this week. I've been Tyler.
I've been Nick.
And I'm Lucas.
And we'll see you next time.
$80 Berserkers minimum.